And I had an acting teacher, Anna Panaro, who I got to give a shout out to, bro. She was the greatest and my first mentor in acting. And she allowed me to fucking explore like that. She had a studio in her apartment, and we would do all these scenes and shit. And young Robby would fucking there was a trash can in the scene, and we brought in a prop as a trash can, and I would grab the trash can and fucking throw it against the wall. And we were having these performances with like 20 people in the room. And I was just experimenting, bro. I was finding my voice, how to channel some of this, fucking anger and other shit that I had at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Bang Bong Podcast. This is either episode 95, 96, or 97. Who knows?
Is it really? Are we subtracting episodes?
No.
I would subtract some.
We just keep inching toward 100. We might subtract that live episode.
Subtract. We should.
No, it's got to go. It's got to go up.
Subtract Mario too.
Mario.
We should.
Well, I don't want to mess with Mario. He might write rhymes about me. But no, we've got some that are unedited, as of yet unedited. But on this one, whatever number it may be, as we inch closer to episode number 100, 8th grade basketball MVP Michael Beltran and I are joined
the most famous person I've ever spoken to on the show.
I mean,
you're currently on cable TV. People got to pay to watch your shit right now.
That's true. Well, and I mean, to be fair, some people volunteer to pay to listen to this. Which is crazy when they don't have to. Thanks to all the Patreon people. Patreon.com/DADEMAG.
Oh, man, this guy.
We are here with actor, also writer, correct? You wrote the thing that there was just a reading for? Will you be directing it?
No, probably not.
Have you directed a thing?
I have directed a thing.
Actor, writer, and director.
There you go. I have.
Robby Ramos.
And tremendo tipo.
And tremendo tipo. Right. Tremendo tipo. Easily the best main we have had on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Dave Arvello will have something to say about that. I don't know.
No, I'm saying Maine goes all the way around.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
it's like a lion
solid.
situation.
Right.
Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, Dave Arvello is the Rafiki to his Simba.
I love it, bro.
And Robby, I don't know whether this is where you first became aware of him, but I first became aware of him through Amparo.
Yes.
So Amparo, which if you are a longtime listener of this podcast, you know we had Vicky, Collado, and Vanessa García on this podcast and have talked about Amparo at length at various points. Robby was a member of the cast there and is now in the cast of the Starz show Heels, which I'm sure we will get into plenty.
Yeah.
That is the extent of my involvement in this podcast, I hope.
Thank God.
And you won't hear from me anymore.
It's great.
Take it away, Mike.
I thank you for being on this shit show of a show.
No, dude. I've like I told you, man. I've listened to a couple episodes and I love it, bro. I was telling.
And I don't
Nick,
want to hear anymore.
Yeah, couple is good. Yeah, I'm done.
Nah, that's not true, dog.
Unsubscribe.
I was telling Nick, bro, the aesthetics you guys got, man. I fuck with it hard, bro.
So, first time I didn't know who you were. I knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
I went to Amparo in New York.
Ooh.
Right? And obviously I'm a chef. So your whole part at the beginning there, like I did cry, I would say 90% of the time of that entire experience. But like you got me so early. I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm going to be good. I'm going to get through the whole thing. And then there's this like chef with a very like sentimental monologue, and I'm like, oh my God, are they talking to me? Like, what the fuck? Like, I feel attacked right now, and it's like I'm already getting teary-eyed at the beginning, and I'm like, I want to know who this person is, and I want to be friends with this person.
Cool, bro.
Because I already felt like it was super well written, it was well performed, and it was just like, I felt it. And obviously I went all the way to New York, and I thought the New York experience was great.
Yeah.
Super interesting in the small like townhouse thing that it was in, and that was the first time I never met you, but that's the first time I saw you and saw you perform. So thank you for that. It was amazing.
Oh man.
I don't know if I'm sure people have told you, but like it touched me super deep because that person speaking is what I am. Like it's cook, whatever, and then like the things being said, I was like, I can relate to all of this.
Yeah. Did you see the Miami one?
No, I did not.
So you just have that New York experience. I'll tell you, dude. I think for my personally, I think the New York one was stronger in the fact that
just walk right through
it was more intimate, dude. It felt like it was the core of the thing.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the ability to do all these other things that we did in the Miami one, where it became a little bit more, I don't know, I wouldn't say a spectacle, but it felt a little more like, there's dancers, you're at a party, you're all this type of shit. With the New York one, it was like the core message of the play,
right.
Dude. And it's funny you bring up that chef shit, dude. So I don't know anything about chefs. I have no connection with that. And I remember them coming to me before we did the New York one, and they're like, hey, this is like a week before, and they're like, listen, so you're going to come out and greet everybody as the chef, and we're giving hors d'oeuvres and shit, so you got to know the things that we're giving so that you can act like you're the chef. So I'm coming out, and I've never had experience with the play or chefs or anything. And they made all these hors d'oeuvres, and now I gotta explain what's on the plate. You know what I mean?
Welcome.
Which I don't know if I spoke to you when I walked out in that original thing, because it was like I would come out, I would greet everybody, and then the show would just start spontaneously, and then that was scripted. But the stuff I was having,
improv,
bro, and I have no idea about food, nothing. Dude,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So
case another one.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
So it was just an interesting experience for me, bro, and I'm glad you connected with that, bro. I'm glad you connected with that. There's something about being an actor and also being put in a box as a Cuban American,
right?
Where they think you're one thing, and you're like, motherfucker, I'm so much more than just this bullshit that you think it is.
It. Man, you came out hot. That's like such a deep statement already, and we're like not even 5 minutes in.
Nah, you started it with the fucking.
No, I know, but I mean that's the first time. Well, I'm just saying that's the first time I got to know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure I reached out to you after, like, hey man, I really appreciate you just like this thing.
Yeah.
And like acting as a chef, doesn't mean you need to be one, understand one, but it's just like that simple thing, and I still remember it vividly. Yeah. I mean, I remember the whole thing vividly. But the beginning of it, pretty vivid. You nailed it as a chef, though. You crushed it.
Yeah.
This episode of Pan Con Podcast is brought to you by The Barrel.
The Barrel is a brand new sponsor of ours here on Pan Con Podcast. They are a Miami-made barbecue grill.
Made in DADE.
They are made in DADE.
Made in DADE.
However, they are very careful to let you know it's not a grill or a smoker. It's the barrel. So this is actually like a really cool looking cylindrical barrel-shaped grill, smoker, I guess roaster also. They're telling you that it's none of those things. It's just the barrel. Some of the benefits. The ability to be hands-off when cooking, which allows you to truly enjoy the people you are cooking for.
That's what it's all about, people.
That is what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. I can't speak on like the scientific matter of that, but it does kind of make sense because air circulation. So
exactly.
I guess that's what it's about.
So another benefit, the capacity of the barrel as compared to horizontal grills and traditional smokers. So you can fit more stuff in there. The versatility of the barrel. All different types of foods that can be cooked in it, like vegetables, chicken, ribs, fish, steaks, pizza, etc.
Sleek and sexy looking, it automatically becomes a topic of conversation, the barrel.
I think this is why they were drawn to this podcast, is they knew, like, these are guys who can relate to calling yourself sleek and sexy.
Transportability? Transportability.
That's right.
Choo-choo.
Chugga chugga.
Of the barrel. It is a compact and can be easily transported and assembled to take to the beach, tailgating, the park.
Because it can be broken down and reassembled so easily, you could conceivably, I mean, listen, I know that you're driving around in that boat of a Cadillac, but you could tear it down, throw it in the back of the caddy. How many grills can you throw in the back of the caddy?
Have you ever seen the trunk of a Cadillac from 1961?
No, I know they're big.
Fits several bodies.
I know, but bodies are more malleable than barrels.
That's actually a good point. I'm actually, once we get our barrel,
right,
once we get our barrel, I think a good test would be, does it fit in the trunk of the Cadillac?
I think we should do this. This is a great test.
This is good.
If you are a Series 62, if you're a Series 62 owner, can you put the barrel in the trunk of your caddy? Like Mike said, when we get our hands on this thing, we have not yet. We will soon. So strap in, because we're going to have updates on when we finally get our hands on the barrel. Maybe we'll like grill some stuff when we are watching fights or something. Who knows? You can find out more about the barrel at barrelthebarbecue.com. Barrelthebbbq.com. Again, barrelthebbbq.com. And oh, by the way, if you're in Miami, you can purchase a barrel. If you're not an online shopping kind of person, you can purchase a barrel at Josh's Premium Meats in South Miami. Josh Pasquale, of course, past guest of the podcast.
Check them out. New shop, new things, looking good.
That's right.
And just so you know, it's not a grill or a smoker. It's a barrel.
If you're buying online at barrelthebbbq.com, you can use promo code PANCON10. That's PANCON, the number 1, the number 0, PANCON10 for, you want to know what that gets you?
I can't wait to find out.
$100 off.
Wow.
$100 off.
Wow.
Just for you being a listener of PANCON Podcast. PANCON10.
You get $100 off. You get $100 off. You get $100 off. You get $100 off.
Michael Beltran, the Oprah of barbecue, grill, smoker, roaster things.
Ooh, man,
Watch
I
out.
love this. God, this is good.
This episode of Pancon Podcast is also brought to you by Steelite International. Steelite International, who sell Mike and so many of his restaurants their dinnerware, is the world's leading supplier of tabletop and buffet products for the global hospitality industry. Mike, tell the people a little bit about why you go with Steelite.
I think that in my experience and my years of obviously working with different providers when it comes to plateware, Steelite has provided a unique opportunity to cater to every level of dining. When it comes to, easy dining, if you were going to talk about a place like Chugs, and all the way to fine dining when you talk about a place like Ariete. They have incredible options. They work with great people to provide great service. And I think that the varied options that they do provide gives you an opportunity as a chef to really showcase what you do on the plate.
So they are committed to providing the best in functionality and design while minimizing the effect on our environment. They have 12 showrooms worldwide. So what's up?
Including Atlanta, Chicago, Cincinnati, Hong Kong, London Town, Los Angeles, Madrid, New York, Toronto, Washington, D.C., and, of course, Youngstown, Ohio.
I love the Youngstown, Ohio.
I know, it's just so random.
That's
very
great.
curveball-y in there.
Steelite services more than 140 countries with dual headquarters located in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and Stoke-on-Trent, United Kingdom, along with 500,000 square feet of manufacturing facility. Visit steelite.com for info. That's STEELITE.com for info. Mike, is there, let's just, for the sake of throwing, let's make this shameless plugs for you too.
Sure.
Is there like a dish or two that comes to mind where you're like, plating it here made a lot of sense and it's a beautiful thing?
There was a dish that they provided for our Monkfish Wellington for one of the side dishes.
Okay.
For it, which is the squid ink gnocchi with the truffle on top and then the truffle jus underneath it. I mean, I've been looking for a plate that was like, that could fit that and what I wanted it to look like, and it was the only one I found of its kind that I very much thought fit.
Oh, so where do we go from here? Just the idea of being put in a box. I have so many thoughts about that. And Cubans and Cuban Americans, we don't really get talked about a lot in the larger scale of cultures that have been oppressed or whatever, because it's a pretty quiet island other than the last year. But it's incredible to me that we really aren't what people think we are. And the more artists I meet of Cuban Americans, like people around my age, just shows like what the country could have been if it was free, because there would be so many more like us. You know, there'd be so many more people being creative, being progressive. You know, living in an industry that no longer is allowed to live unless they're told what they can say or what they can perform or, you know, how they want to feel, you know. So that being put in a box thing, it's nuts because next month, thank you, Case. Next month, I'm going to California, and I'm doing a seminar for the Culinary Institute of America. And the seminar is all about reinterpreting Cuban flavors.
Cuban what?
Cuban flavors.
Okay.
And I'm doing this in front of a bunch of, like, what in my industry I consider suits. You know, like people in chef coats, because no one in my company wears a chef coat. I don't wear a chef coat. And it's being broadcast around the world. And I just think about it like, I've had a couple opportunities over the last, like, year to talk about how important our mission is. And when I say ours, I say people like you and myself. To show people that there's so much more to our culture and to our people that people just don't know and they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's going to be interesting. I feel a fuck ton of pressure for it, you know? But I'm also on stage at the same time with a good friend of mine that's Peruvian that does, the idea is reinterpreting Cuban and Peruvian flavors through fine dining.
Gotcha.
And so it's going to be a good time. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said there at the beginning about, like, you know, had Cuba been free and people like you and me would have been on that island. And I agree with you, but then I also have a feeling that part of that drive that you and I have comes from our families being exiled.
Yeah.
It comes from feeling like motherfuckers are trying to put us in a box and we're trying to break out of this shit. Right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, man. There's a thing about kind of accepting, you know?
Well, I think a lot of it also is the feeling of being lost, though. You know, we are the children of the lost.
Yep.
Who do we reside with and who do we live with, right?
Yeah.
We're not Cuban. We're not American. Who accepts us? And I remember, like, when we did the podcast with Rosa Maria, she was like, you are as Cuban as I am. And I was honored, right? Like, you know, I was born in fucking Hialeah. But at the same time, it's like the blood that I have inside of me feels for somewhere that I have no idea where it is. Because we are incredibly lost. You know, like, we live in Miami, and I think Miami is the most Cuban place you can get outside of Cuba. But it may be the last Cuba that we actually can resonate with, that we understand, right? That we have, like, some kind of association with. Because things are so far gone.
Yep.
You know, and it's like my family, and I think so many families too, they came here and they just wanted to fucking fit in, right? Because they were like, they had an opportunity to be free. Right. They had an opportunity to give their families, like, much more of a life. And they wanted, I think saying that they assimilated is a bad way to say it, but I think at the same time, they assimilated, right?
Sure.
Like, they wanted to be American, and I understand why. They wanted us to fit in. They wanted us to fit a mold because they wanted us to grow and, like, have an opportunity to be free. But then us at our age, because I think as being, like, creative and, you know, like, I'm a restless human. I never feel comfortable at home, and I feel like that lack of comfort comes from that feeling of being lost from a cultural perspective. Because I think when I talk to Nick, shockingly, like, you know, me and Nick never agree, but, like, when I talk to Nick, I feel a lot of, like, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm sure that maybe you probably feel the same.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%. There's nowhere in the country, and I've lived in New York, I've lived in LA, Atlanta now. There's nowhere in the country that I feel I can find my tribe other than here. This is the only place where my tribe exists. And I always tell Vanessa and Vicky that it's like, when I found them, I felt like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because I have been in New York for 6-7 years with other people in the Latino theater community in New York. I didn't connect, bro.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, dude. I'm doing a play at this theater called Intar in in New York, which is like one of the biggest theater, Latino theater companies in the world, right?
Amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. I get cast in a play there. I go into the office, right? I'm feeling what you said. Congrats, right? I'm fucking pumped, dude.
Yeah.
Right? I've been hearing about this company. I get into the office, and there are pictures on the walls of Che Guevara. Not just Che Guevara, bro, because we know about this bullshit about the colleges and, you know, the young kids. Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, walking through Havana. You know that famous picture that they're all kind of arms locked? Which then eventually you see all these people died. This guy committed suicide. Like, they have another picture after that that tells you what happened to all these fucking people that were in the line with Fidel. But point is, that's the picture I see there, dude. And I'm confronted instantly with, this isn't my tribe, dude.
Yeah.
So I think that moment for me was fucking huge because I had gotten to New York and all I heard was Latinos and we got to stick together and Latino culture and this, that, and the other. Ni pinga, bro. To keep it Cuban as fuck. Ni pinga.
Yeah.
We're Cuban American. And then there's Puerto Rican American, there's Mexican American, and that's not to say that we don't obviously have things that we connect with, right?
Yeah.
We have a language, we have other things that we connect to, but the fact of the matter is, we're fucking different, dude. All of us. That's like putting Irish, Scottish, British, fucking Australian.
Well, I mean,
I
wonder if there was a Puerto Rican American or a Mexican American at this table, and you were to tell them to look at that picture and what they feel, they wouldn't feel what we feel.
100%, man.
You know, they would, and I would be interested to see what they feel or what they think. And I have a lot of very close Puerto Rican friends, and I feel like they may feel how I feel, but I think the majority outside of Miami wouldn't feel the same way.
Well, they've been fed a propaganda, bro.
Yeah,
they bought into it. You know,
propaganda is what feeds the understanding of the rest of the world, right? Because they fall into the motorcycle diaries of the way what Che,
the romanticism of it.
Right. This is why Jay-Z wears Che shirts and he thinks it's cool.
Exactly.
You know, and like I sometimes when I'm like in my car and like a Jay-Z song comes on and I start like bumping to it, I'm like, this guy's a fucking communist sympathizer in the back of my head. Like, he's a fucking piece of shit.
I know.
You know? It's the same thing as like people smoking Cuban cigars. I can go on about this forever. Nick, go ahead.
So, two things. Number one, just my 2 cents on this topic because I mean, you and I don't know, did you leave Miami for school or something? Obviously, you've been outside of Miami.
Yeah, I left to New York for a one-year conservatory.
My perspective on that aspect of, like, what is it to be Hispanic or Latin or Latino or whatever, at the end of the day, it's cultures. And I think that there are, what we have, especially having been in Miami, is this unique experience of cultures that never had a need to meld into each other, where a lot of people in the rest of the country are in a situation where a new culture is born of this Hispanic U.S. American thing, but here there's enough of each thing. Like, you could be from Uruguay and there are enough Uruguayos to like connect with and maintain an enclave of people.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my takeaway from that, right? Like, I realize it's not, because you go to Mexico and you ask Mexicans about Guatemalans and they don't talk the way that Mexican Americans talk about Guatemalan Americans, in the same way that, you know, because they have their own thing. If you're in Mexico, you're among Mexicans, and you don't need to, you know, feel any way about anybody. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but it's not because of some forced sense of like, oh, there's more of us now, so let's create a new thing. I think we were talking before we turned on the mics about the fact that, Robby, you had as a teacher, past guest Ricardo Paullosa.
Yeah.
And you guys were both talking about like what it is that being Cuban leads to you, I don't know, bringing into the world or whatever, right? About the breaking out of a box and in that conversation, I don't know if you finished that episode, but toward the end of it, you and Ricardo, Mike, started talking about that aspect of it, of like, what does that experience of being Cuban or a Cuban exile or whatever, what does that imbue on like what you bring to the shit you do? And so I pulled up the YouTube video and I pulled up the captions just to read it. Maybe I'll cut in with like the actual video in the podcast version, but Ricardo here is talking about like what having been through being Cuban American or a Cuban exile gives you, and he says we should
embrace our fate. It is a fate that is lonely and bewildering, but deepening, and that has given us a relevance that very few in a society that is driven by pleasure and frivolity will ever experience. And in that sense, I'm grateful that I am in this position, as difficult as it often is.
Experience. And I think what he's saying is like you've been through shit that other people don't know, and like your mission is to let them know that shit can happen.
Yeah.
And you have a relevance to the world that people who have no connection to that can't have. Like they have no idea what that is. And maybe they bring other shit to the world, but like that's what you bring to the world because you know. So anyway,
I have to say the podcast we did with Ricardo, like we were so drunk by the time we finished that fucking podcast. You know, that seminar I told you I'm doing, Nick and I did a video for it because they asked for like a small snippet of like a 2-minute video for it. And then Nick reminded me of a quote that Ricardo said, and I, for the life of me, if you told me you would give me $1 million to remember that he said that, I would be like, nah.
At all.
And I have thought about that quote
You've texted me about
every
it so much.
single fucking day since we did that video. What was the quote exactly? Come on, give it to me.
It was for those who see themselves as being in a Cuban context, Cuba is dead. So here he's talking about if you live in Cuba, or even if you're just like outside of Cuba, but you see yourself as living in a Cuban context, like the things around you are Cuban, Cuba is dead. But for those who see Cuba as being in them and they are the context, Cuba is alive.
Wow.
I mean, that's exactly what the fuck we're doing. That's exactly it. Like, people our age doing what we're doing, the things that we're adding to the world, that is exactly it.
Wow.
And I was entirely too fucked up to remember that statement. I could be 100% honest about that because we drank a fuck ton that day.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, like I have really, and I've thought about it so much, like we are really telling a new story of what and who our people are as they try every day to become free. We live a free life for the most part. We are free, right? They are not. And we are living a different story, but we are still just like them, fighting along them in a different way. And it's crazy to me. It's such a mind fuck, you know, because we live our day-to-day life, but knowing like deep inside of us there's another thing that we're trying to accomplish at the same time. You through your art, me through what I do, which is cooking. But we're all, I think that the end game is the same, right?
Dude, that quote is fucking amazing. And one of the things that automatically come up in my brain is my grandparents, you know? When you say the people on the island, the connection that I make is the people that passed who went through fucking awful shit.
Yeah, awful.
Who got their freedoms taken from them, that they had to then go to another completely different country and then build this thing up again. That shit lives within me, dude, to an extent that I can't even fucking explain, bro.
Yeah.
It's just in my fucking blood. It's in everything that I do. It doesn't allow me to conform to things that otherwise would make my life easier in my career. Does that make sense?
I mean, trust me, it makes a lot of sense for me. Trust me, you have no idea how much sense it makes for me.
Fire, bro. I love that I'm talking with you, dude. Because you know, these are things that we can only speak about to other people that are, again, in our tribe, bro. If not, it just doesn't, they don't fucking compute. And that quote says everything, dude.
Well, you know, people ask me all the time, why do you work so much? Why do you work so hard? I mean, I honestly don't know any other way. Like, this is kind of like in my nature to do this. But also when I ever think about, like, you know, I feel like fucking off today, or I feel like not doing anything today. It was my grandfather's 92nd birthday 5 days ago, right? And every time I sit with him, there's a longing in his face that I can never get out of my brain. Because all he does is want to go home. And he'll never go back home. And he gave up all of that for me to do this. And who am I to be like, okay, I'm just going to have like a regular job. I'm not going to try to make a fucking difference. I'm not going to try to do something. This is exactly why I do the things that I do, and I am the way that I am because of him and my grandmother, because those two human beings have sacrificed a fuck ton, a life of being where they loved. They loved where they were. You know, Pinareños, they are a certain way, and they love where they're from, and they miss it every single day, and you see it. There's a longing in their face, and when you look in their eyes, they're just like, I love you, and that's why I'm here. But not because I fucking want to be here, because they don't want to be here. You know, they did it for us so we can have all these opportunities to fucking... And who are we to just be like, nah, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to stop this story now. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want. We're going to have the venti lattes all day, and we're not going to try to do anything fucking different.
Are they both still alive?
Yes, they are.
Oh, man, what a blessing, bro.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's a blessing.
my grandfather passed. So, speaking of Amparo, my grandma and my grandfather both passed at the same time that we were doing the play here in Miami. And they both went, so my grandmother was Alzheimer's, and my grandfather was dementia, spurred on by her Alzheimer's. So
Right.
her shit fucked him up.
Right.
He dealt with it for like a decade, dude. And then, you know, when we finally couldn't take it anymore, like she was getting violent and that kind of thing, we put her in a home. And then, bro, his dementia just went whoop. Like, he lost it, dude, you know? They have been together 60 plus years, bro.
I know, it's the same. 60 plus years. Could you
it's
imagine
insane,
that?
dude.
Like, you know, like, I just feel like society today is not programmed that way anymore. But, brother, I mean, 60 years. Like, they
60
cannot
plus,
operate without one another.
60 plus. It might have even been 70, bro, because he was 93 when he passed, and he had been with her since he was like 20, 21. So, yeah, bro, more than... I mean, you know, it's and so they passed while we were doing Amparo, and in Amparo, my grandfather, like in the play, he has, my grandmother just passed away. In the play, my grandmother just passed away, and my grandfather has Alzheimer's. And in the play, in the Miami one, because we changed it, I wasn't a chef anymore. I was the brand ambassador, which was based on Gio Gutierrez, who's the Rio Havana Club and that
Senor
whole shit.
Cha-Chow.
Exactly.
Right.
We put that so that my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and I had a part in the play where he'd come up to me and he'd be asking, "Where's Mima?" You know, and I'd be like, "No, I will," you know, and then I didn't have the heart to tell him she passed away, so I'd be like, "I will espérame allá, que yo voy para allá ahorita," whatever. We had like a little way of doing it, and bro, it was a weird time in my life where like life was imitating art.
Yeah. And I feel like so much of, I think what people like us do, it really does, life imitates art every day.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm at my creative best is when I feel incredibly emotional about something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it usually resonates with like that lost nature of life, you know, like that feeling of like not having an anchor to say like, this is where we're from, this is what we're doing, this is who we are. And I feel like so much of, at least what I always go back to, like this center place is like, who are we really? Us, right? Like the children of immigrants, the, you know, children of the lost.
Yeah, man.
Children of people just trying to make it.
Yeah.
Children of people not trying to be oppressed and live under this, like, you know, what they've been living under for 60 fucking years.
Insane, bro.
It's fucking insane.
For me, it always goes back to something that anchors me, at least, is legacy, right?
Yeah.
And the word legacy is like, wow, big, but it comes back to them, you know, my grandma, my grandfather, and that shit grounds me, dude. I have anxiety. I deal with anxiety and shit, and
Same.
I'm a performer, all this, right? So, which might be linked to our fucking past trauma, our family. You know, who the fuck knows where our anxiety comes from? But the thing that always anchors me is that, bro. I carry them with me, and I feel that anchors me.
Yeah.
That legacy.
Well, you know, like, anxiety is a good. I deal with a decent amount, and I always feel like, what am I doing it for? Right? Like, that's where the anxiety starts to, like, build, right? Like, what am I doing it for? Like, I don't just do, like, I don't cook to do cool food to do cool food. There's got to be a purpose behind it. There has to be a reason. There has to be a thing. There has to be, like, some kind of, like, very, like, a thing that means a lot to me. Because if not, I just feel like it's whatever. It's fine. It tastes cool. you know, but it's like I'm not connected to it, and it's like if people like it, they like it. If they don't, like I don't give a fuck, you know.
Yeah.
But if I feel like there's a connection, I need them to like this, so I need them to understand where I'm coming from. That's where anxiety builds, you know, because they're like the legacy is there. It's because I'm trying to tell a story. And a lot of times, at least in my career, a lot of people don't want to know the story. They just want to eat. They just want to get the fuck out, you know,
Right.
and that's cool. I mean, they're still going to pay. So, but I think like I woke up at fucking 4:50 this morning, just like popped up out of bed, just like, why am I awake? Can't go back to bed. And I was like thinking it through, like sitting in a fucking dark room, thinking it through, like looking at the fucking ceiling. It's because like the shit that I'm gonna cook today. What? That guy's from Kendall, huh? What? The shit that I'm gonna cook today. What does it mean? Who does it mean something to? Why does it mean something? That to me, like, I don't know. It means a fuck ton.
Did you always wanted to be a chef?
No.
Does that come from family? Is there somebody in your family that?
Well, you know, my grandparents they worked at Ariete outside of Pinar del Rio.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's where Ariete goes.
that's where Ariete comes from.
Everyone says Ariete, but it says
Well, the reason why I don't say Ariete, it sounds like a Daddy Yankee song and it bothers me.
fucking Daddy Yankee, dude.
He's
Fuck
a great
shit
guy,
up, bro.
It sounds like one of his songs, and it bothers me all the time. And I'm just,
What would that song sound like?
Ariete, Ariete.
he has it down
No, I know
already.
because I've heard it in my head so many times. Right. So I just tell people Ariete, and it's usually easier with the very American folks.
Right.
So, when did you start all of this? When did you start the acting, writing thing?
Right after high school, man. So I finished,
Where'd you go to high school?
Southwest and South Miami.
Oh yeah, Southwest Eagles.
Yeah, bro.
South Miami
Southwest
Cobras.
Eagles. La Sabuesera, dude.
Yeah.
That's the And then I went to South Miami my senior year. So what happened to me was I always wanted to be a baseball player since I was fucking 5 years old. And
It was a good time for our ad for Black Club USA.
there you go, dude. Go.
There you go. Thanks for the segue, Robby.
Yeah,
Insert ad now.
Carry
I
on.
can start. All right, good. So, dude, I started playing since I was 5 and played all the way through high school. And then my sophomore year, I started getting into some, fucking trying to hang out with chicks. I was trying to be the cool kid. I was trying to do all this bullshit, rebel a little bit. And my
Rebelling
grades,
is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
Rebelling
fine,
is fine.
right. My grades went fucking, crashed. And I got into some trouble at Southwest. The coach was a prick, which I hope he listens to this podcast. This is my now I have a fucking platform to tell this motherfucker.
If you're listening, the coach
Yeah.
from Southwest in the year.
2004 to 2008.
If you're listening, sir, you are a fucking prick.
There you go. Dog. Put that into a clip and let me post it on my socials. Yeah. No, bro, but what ended up happening was he was in the right in some things. I think I prank called the JV coach one day, and he fucking took that super personal and was
I love
like, "You're a
that.
piece of shit." And
Jerky boys.
yeah, and so then I went to South Miami, and he talked shit there to the coaches there. The coach from Southwest talked shit about me to the South Miami coaches, and then I went just my senior year. It was too late, bro. I don't know if you were into sports growing up.
I played high school and college sports.
Okay, bro. So you know that if the first 3 years you fucked off, that senior year you're fucked already, dude. It's
Correct.
too late. And that's basically what happened to me, dude. So the baseball thing didn't work out. And then I went into college, and that's when I had all these teachers at Miami Dade. And I started fucking searching, bro. I started writing things down, what I was feeling and things like that. And acting was one of the careers I wanted to try, bro. It was either
So
psychology.
you never acted before?
No, dude, nothing.
Interesting.
Nothing at all.
Crazy.
And it was either psychology or acting. And I had a psychology class, and then I took an acting class. And acting won out, man.
I acted in middle school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was an Elvis impersonating Santa Claus.
Fire, dude. Yeah.
I was an Elvis impersonating Santa Claus. I also did 2 years as the dad of some kids in the Christmas play in middle school. I won Male Actor of the Year 3 years in a row. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, add that to the intro, bro. You're saying that.
Nah, Nick will never do it. He's
I've
still
never heard that.
Yeah, that's new.
No, that will be every time.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, I love it. I love it, bro. Yeah.
I mean, I got kicked out of a bunch of schools younger. When I was younger, when I got to Columbus, they finally kept me.
Okay.
Because I played sports, so they were like, "You're fine."
What year were you at Columbus?
I graduated 2003.
Okay. Do you know JD, Jose Daniel Fresas?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to Columbus too, and I think he might have been at your time, and he was doing graffiti and shit at the time. Now he's in the film business.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, I love that.
I'll link you up, dude.
Yeah.
You should talk
On
to
the
him.
next Pancon podcast.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm doing it all, bro. I'm adding to your intro. I'm getting you guests.
I love this. Nick is really going to capitalize on all this. Yeah. You should take some of the Patreon sales. Nick's like, no, don't.
I want to
You can have 99% of our profits.
Okay, fire.
That lets you know where our profits are.
I'll take what Mike has made and I'll double it for you.
Okay. Dope, brother.
Yeah, so, I mean,
So, dude, yeah, I got into acting, and then I had my first play at Miami Dade, bro, and I booked the lead in my first fucking play ever. You can imagine how that was, bro. The first night, all my boys are like baseball dudes from fucking Sauceda and all this other bullshit. And the curtains open on that first night, and my boy's like, Robby!
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I'm trying to act here. I'm in a new fucking stage.
Such a
dude.
Miami experience,
It
huh?
is. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Nick needs another, I need another.
Damn, dog. We're getting into it, bro.
This is how all the podcasts go.
This is great.
This is my favorite podcast.
This is my favorite. Yeah.
Internal timer went off.
Yeah, right.
So after that, first play, Miami Dade, what year was that? Freshman year, sophomore year?
That was that was like my freshman year, so 2009.
And, I mean, was it like automatic? You're like, I want to be an actor.
Bro, it was pretty automatic, dude. So I took an acting class there, and I had a monologue that they give you a monologue, right, which is like a chunk of dialogue, kind of similar to what you saw me doing Amparo. And they ask you, to personalize it, right? So you kind of you bring yourself to the part, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was this monologue about now reaching your potential, which was fucking perfect, right? I had done the baseball shit. I was pretty good, bro. I wasn't bad, you know what I mean? And I had enough potential. I could have played at a D2 or some shit, not D1, but I could have kept that going a little longer, and I didn't, I just fucked off. And that monologue spoke to me, bro, and so I kind of, I stepped into the shoes of the character in that monologue, and I
Do you remember the monologue?
Nah, bro.
Oh, man, I would
don't,
love
dude.
that
I
right
know,
now.
I know.
Fuck.
I start fucking tearing up.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember it, bro. But it was from a play, and I remember doing the monologue in front of the class. And bro, I remember the class kind of like, everyone's fucking around. Some people aren't even doing that class because they want to be an actor. It's just an easy grade, right?
Right.
You're in college and shit, and so I do the monologue, and I feel everybody's bodies like they're like, oh shit.
It's when you capture people.
Yeah, bro.
That's the moment.
That was the drug, dog. And ever since then, bro, it's just been trying to fucking, how can I find this drug,
Isn't it crazy you find a drug that's not a drug? I remember area year 1, I had worked in a ton of restaurants that weren't busy. Just not. Area year 1, the first 8 months, it was very busy. And then we hit like a hard stop. Wasn't busy at all. 0. And I remember, thanks, Case.
Why, though, dude? So it had been busy, and then it just...
Opening, I mean, it's very status quo for Miami. You open a restaurant, busy. If you don't follow through with the things you said you were going to follow through with, then people stop coming. It's just the way it is. Like,
But when you say you don't follow through, because...
we didn't deliver to the extent of which I wish we would have delivered the first 8 months.
Okay.
We had a lot of growing to do. I wasn't as good as I should have been. I didn't know the things that I know now. I failed in a lot of ways.
Was it at this spot here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we still turned 6, January 14th of 2021. 22.
The other restaurants that you mentioned, you were also the owner of them?
No.
Okay,
No,
so this was your first.
This is my first ownership. Yeah. And
What year is this, dude?
2016.
Okay. Oh shit, recent.
2016. And we just stopped being busy, right? It's also like being an owner, you understand business and you understand like the seasons of Miami, when business is good, when it's bad. I didn't know any of that. And like the first 8 months we were like so busy, and it was like I felt on top of the world. I felt like, man, like I can do this. I fucking did this. And it was like a drug. And when it was taken away from me, it was like I need it back.
Mm-hmm.
I need it back, and then not only do I need it back, I need to fucking crush it. I need to crush every aspect of it. I need to know every aspect of it. I need to be very good at every aspect of it. And that's what led me to like where I am now. Like chef restaurateur, like I know a lot more than I did 6 years ago. I've studied a ton. I've worked a ton. And it's just like, that shit is a drug, man.
It is, dude.
It's a drug. It's like capturing a room for you and for me is different. I know when I capture a room, I can feel it. I can feel when the room is like, everyone's good.
Same though.
Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
The food is like, the food is just like, it's crushing. Cocktails, beverage, it's all crushing, and you can feel every and for me, since I'm like the architect of all the things, along with an amazing team, like I can feel when something is just out of sort. I could feel it. I can feel it in like my core.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's all wet, like when it's all going super well, I also feel that, and it's a drug.
2016. So 2016 is when you open.
Yeah.
The first 8 months, like you said, were fire, and then it starts going down. Now, when you say that you had to kind of like reinvent yourself, did you shut down the restaurant?
No.
Or so you kept it going, but at the same time you're learning all these other things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the identity was a problem at the beginning. I came from a super well-known place that wasn't incredibly busy, but it had a big name.
What was it?
Cypress Room.
Okay.
And it was the food was great, service, everything was great about that restaurant. My chefs were great. The restaurant was impeccable, and for some reason it just like didn't knock, like it just didn't hit, And then when we opened here, it felt kind of like Cypress Room South. It wasn't me. It wasn't who I wanted to be. It wasn't who I was. But I was there's a lot of, and the same thing as being on stage. Like, you're very vulnerable. And there's a lot of, like, when you give up that vulnerability and you put yourself out there, it's very scary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, when we were going down, and I thought that was we almost closed several times in those first 2 years. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do this shit my way. I'm going to tell a story that I want to tell, and I'm going to really find out who the fuck I am. That's what I did. And people responded. They responded. Miami responded. Miami showed up.
So people start trickling back in.
Yeah.
Little by little, it just starts growing.
But I changed too. I wasn't just like behind a curtain. I wanted to tell a story, our story, the Cuban American story, and I started to understand what that really meant to the community and to us and to a ton of people. And that's when I started to realize that I wasn't fucking alone. It wasn't just me that had something to say about this. There was a lot of other people. There's a lot of other people, too, that got a lot to say that I'm full of shit, too.
Yeah.
But they still came, and they still spent their money. So
right.
they still helped the cause. Yeah. So, and from that I've learned so much. Like, don't be scared to be who you are, and be, like, very adamant. Like, I'll never pretend to be somebody else. And I give zero fucks if someone wants me to be something else.
And that's something you learned through what you went through with
I learned through failure.
Mm-hmm.
I learned through failure. I learned through, like, being pretty much on the ground saying, like, we have no shot of making this work, but we're still going to push through it. And that's why we're still here today.
Bro, the restaurant business, I can't even fathom I was listening to this in the beginning of the pandemic. They had Joe Rogan. I don't know if you listen to Rogan at all.
I don't listen to any podcast, especially
Okay.
not this one.
Okay, good. Right. You don't waste your time with the podcast. But Rogan, man, he had a chef on, and it was the beginning of the pandemic. And
Which chef?
bro, he owns a restaurant in California. He's a big dude. He's like a fat dude.
Oh yeah.
And he had a woman with him on the podcast. I'll share it with you after. But just the numbers of restaurants that actually make it, dude. Because this woman was talking about that. It's
Yeah.
fucking.
85% failure rate in the first 12 months.
That's what she said, dude.
72% failure rate in the first 24. 55% failure rate after year 3. After year 3, it drops down to 30%. After year 3 and you go to year 4 and 5, you drop down to 20% failure rate. I'm aware of the numbers. I'm a
You're
gambler like
aware
a
of the
motherfucker.
numbers, bro. Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I
So-
think we might be talking about Evan Funke.
Oh,
Yes, I mean,
yeah,
also-
Felix.
Yep.
Yes, Felix in the side.
Felix.
Yes.
Yeah, senor, fuck your pasta machine.
Huh? Is
Yeah.
that what is that?
That's his like slogan because he uses old school technique that he only uses his gigantic rolling pin to make pasta.
Okay. Do you respect him, or you feel like he's?
I mean, his food's great. I feel like the way he does that is incredibly inefficient. But if he feels like it's better, then that's cool. I mean, if he still keeps that up today with the lack of labor that there is in the world,
wonder,
like
yeah.
more power to him. But his food is incredible. Like he definitely knows what the fuck is up
yeah.
for sure.
Well, his restaurant survived, bro, in L.A., which is
I know his chef is a Miami guy.
Oh, I didn't know that, dude.
Well, he was. Craig Junta. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay. Yeah. So listening to that podcast like opened my eyes to this world, bro. So I have enormous respect for it, man. And actors, we share the same thing. I mean, the success rate of an actor who's
Oh,
actually
man.
making a living off of acting is fucking.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's actually less than 1%, bro. I mean, it's like
it seems like to me that you're doing pretty fucking well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no. This is the first year of my life that I am making my money solely from acting.
I mean, when I saw that you were on this show,
Yeah.
Starz show,
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because like it's one thing to be on a play. Like doing the play thing is like it's a hard grind. I have a huge respect for this art. Like it's very difficult. Like when you do the play thing, it's really like a love, and you do it. There's another Miami person on Broadway right now in Chicago. I forgot her name.
Oh, yeah.
And
Ana Villafane.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. Like, I love seeing this, you know? And then to get on a show on Starz, like, you're fucking, this is huge. Huge!
Huge.
Huge!
Huge.
So, I just, like, I was incredibly, like, proud to see that. And I don't even really know you,
Yeah.
right? But I just know we come from, like, the same cloth, right?
Exactly, bro.
And I know how difficult it is because any kind of art form is tough, right? One, that there's so many dollars and cents connected to the general public makes it even more difficult, right? Because I think when you talk about art and like painting and stuff, there's a small niche of people that will pay a fuck ton for art,
Yeah.
you know? But when you're talking about like the general public now needs to like you. They need to like you. And they need to be cool with you being on a show that's on a paid for cable
Yeah.
network, right? Is it a network? Is that what it is? Starz is a
That's
network.
fair to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's a network.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking incredible, you know. And
Yeah.
I had never met you, and I'm like, I'm super proud. Like, I'm very proud.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, we're the same tribe, bro. I feel the same about you, man. When I first came to Ariete, I'll keep calling it the Daddy
Do what
Yankee
you want. That's
fucking-
cool. I like
because
it.
I don't want to butcher the name. If
No,
I
I mean,
change
it's
the,
good.
You know, it's already ingrained in my head with the Daddy Yankee shit. So Ariete.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, bro. I have enormous respect for what you've done, bro. I think you've found a way to bring our culture, but at the same time give it a little remix there. That's solely Michael Beltrán, right? So it's not. You're not like mixing all. I mean, I feel like some of this shit is coming from you, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You found a way to do that, and that's what I'm trying to do with everything, bro. With my plays, with my acting, everything. I'm trying to bring because I'm inspired by Marlon Brando and all these people that came before me.
God,
Fuck,
I love
dude,
him.
Brando was
So
my.
good.
That's how I learned to act. It was mimicking this motherfucker, right?
I mean, he's incredible. Young Brando,
Yeah,
like
dude.
it's hard
oh
to.
My
Oof.
God. No, there's nothing better, bro.
I mean, he crushed everything. Young Brando crushed the world.
So good, bro.
So
good.
smooth.
And yeah, dude,
So dope.
fucking, yeah,
So
bro.
smooth,
I
so
just-
dope. It's like I just want to be that guy.
I just want to, in case Mike, you're not on your hosting A game. We just had a guest say that he learned to act by mimicking Brando. We shouldn't let this end without getting a Brando impression.
Oh man, I'm not on my host day game. It's been a long
Just
day.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, it's
At
cool.
some point,
Oh no.
Since you're saying, sir, that you learned from mimicking Brando, we should do a Brando impersonation here on Pancom Podcast, or we could save it for the people that want to pay on
Yeah,
Patreon.
that'll be a Patreon.
Patreon,
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
for
yeah.
Patreon.
I'd much rather that.
Everybody
bro.
We'll
who's
charge the
contributing-
Starz rate.
everyone who's
What's the
contributing
Starz
on,
rate if you want to download it?
Yeah, if
per
you're
month?
contributing on OnlyFans, you get to see Robby Ramos do his Brando impression.
It's kind of wild, dog. Some of the shit that you're bringing up, Mike. I'm like, damn, bro. We connect on a lot of things, bro.
Well, I think a lot of like creative people around our age. I'm guessing you're what, 33?
I'm 31, dude. I have to think about that.
old?
31. He's 31.
I just turned 31 in August. Yeah,
August what?
14.
What? August 10th.
Nah.
Yeah.
You said, dog. What?
Yeah, Leos, man. We're the
Holy
best.
shit, bro.
We're the
More
best.
fucking connections. You
Yeah.
see, dog? That's
Um,
why we vibe out, bro.
what were we talking about
Feel
before?
it.
I had to go make sure no one fucked off their closing of their stations.
We had just agreed that Robby will
No,
do
no,
his
no,
Marlon
we-
Brando.
Oh, we're gonna do the
during
Marlon Brando for
Patreon.
Patreon.
No,
Yeah.
we forgot about that, bro.
No, we
Forgot
did
about
not
that.
Actually,
forget about
you
that.
know what we should do? We should do the lightning round questions as Marlon Brando.
No, bro. No, fuck it. Why you guys fucking not at
No,
all.
it's good.
Oh,
It's
God.
stupid shit. Like, do you prefer meat or guayaba pastelitos?
Nah, my Brando's gonna be Robby, bro.
Yeah,
Trust
I mean, that's
me,
good.
dog. It's
Hey,
fucking.
I can tell you that
Robby
there's
Brando.
like, from an acting perspective, just as like being a male,
Yeah.
like the old actors, like they were just so smooth.
The shit, dude.
I mean, they were, you know,
Paul Newman.
the way that they dressed, the way that they spoke,
Yeah.
the cars that they drove, like
Steve McQueen, bro.
Ah, Steve
You don't
McQueen,
get fucking
man.
cooler than Steve McQueen, bro.
That's how you end up in a Willie Chirino song.
yeah. I mean, that's true.
That's true. You gotta
I
be the
mean,
shit.
I don't know. So, how did we get into Marlon Brando? That's what shaped a lot of the beginning here.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. I started to mimic him, and then through that, I just found my own, my own voice. And it wasn't necessarily that I was mimicking him, like they would do on SNL or something. But there was ways that he was using his body that I found super fucking interesting. The way he would fucking just, like, he'd be in a scene just talking to you like this, and then he'd fucking take the cup and throw it against the wall. And I was experimenting with shit like that, like just taking my real anger and fucking, I'm talking here with Mike, and I grab this shit, and in one line I fucking throw the cup, right? And I had an acting teacher, Amparo, who I gotta give a shout out to, bro. She was the greatest and my first mentor in acting, and she allowed me to fucking explore like that. She had a studio in her apartment, and we would do all these scenes and shit, and young Robby would fucking there was a trash can in the scene, and we brought in a prop as a trash can, and I would grab the trash can and fucking throw it against the wall. And we were having these performances with like 20 people in the room, and I was just experimenting, bro. I was finding my voice, how to channel some of this, fucking anger and other shit that I had at the time. And so that's really where the Brando shit came from. It's just like the spontaneous fucking
Which is
emotion that would happen. Yeah, bro. I found it through that. Really, I did. Yeah.
I think that as we grow older, we channel how we decide to expel our emotions to the world. Like a lot of people find me kind of like an asshole, and then I'm like pretty dry. But I like the way I expel my emotions to the world is through my food. That's the way I talk a ton to people that I want to talk to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't really want to talk to people, and the way that I want to talk to them is through my food and through my restaurant, and like that's the way that I'm thinking. And that's why I tell people all the time, it's like this is not like every piece of this has been thought about.
Yeah.
Every piece of this has been, you know, exhaustingly put through like the ringer of like, this is who and how I want to be. And that's how I speak to the world.
Let me ask you, how do you, because I can kind of understand how, you know, you can fuse the food that you're making with love, right? You can make something with love, but what my question would be is, how do you channel your other emotions like anger? How does that come out in food? Like, how does that?
Well, you know, it's tough, right? Because at the end of the day, like, I run a business and I have partners, right? So we have to make money. We have to do a lot of things. We had these dinners that Nick went to. How many did you go to, Nick? 2?
At least 2.
2.
2, maybe 3, definitely not 4.
The Versos Sencillos dinners. And, like, those dinners were an opportunity for me to be, like, viscerally who I was. And it was only because we were super up against the wall. It was during a pandemic. Nothing else was happening. We were not busy. We're super short-staffed. And I had a bunch of people on my staff that could do more, that should have been doing more. And I pushed them to do more. But it was my opportunity to express a lot of emotion through food. And, you know, and people could not see it this way, but there was like a lot of darkness, a lot of like incredibly intense thought. There was a lot of like feeling of lost in those dinners, but they helped me find my way through a very dark period of my career.
But what how do they translate directly into the food? Like, what kind of flavors are we talking about?
It's not even about flavors. It's about plating. It's about experience. It's about timing. It's about music. It's about the surroundings. It's about the type of service. It's about all those things. It's like there's so many different elements that you can put into it, right? So I think...
Why don't, just to give Robby some context, why don't you give like an example of a dish or a component of that experience that...
Sure. You know, I think our best one was our last one. The last one that we did was, and it was super up against the wall. My chef was like, he came in contact with someone with COVID. He was out for 2 weeks. Another one of my chefs was out of town. So it was just like me, one of my sous chefs, that she's amazing. So, like, she did a great job. And all my cooks. And the food was very thought-provoking. It was very, like, opposite of everything that we ever did. And then also on top of that, because for me, I love to put it up against the man, to tell the man to go fuck themselves. So, like, the same day that we did that dinner, we were supposed to do another dinner for South Beach Food and Wine Festival that they told me that it was a lot of things there. But essentially, this was my way of telling them to go fuck themselves, right? I counter-programmed against a dinner I was supposed to do somewhere else, and I did my own. And I think we had the most phenomenal night in our history. And we only served 42 guests. It did not matter. We did 9 courses. All of them were fucking spot on. It was a silky smooth service. But the service, the food, the music, the room, everything was perfect. For me, right?
Yeah.
Was it perfect for the world? Would it win 3 Michelin stars? No. But it was perfect for me. And that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. And the food was like as simple but thought-provoking as I could make it. Right? Like, draw everything that's smoke and mirrors off of a dish and just make it about the food. And that's what we did that day. And it was like, it was perfect. It was, for me, it was probably the day in my career that makes me the most emotional because, one, I was telling people to go fuck themselves, and I was cool with doing that. Secondly, I was with my people that I love very much, and we were doing a thing that made them all feel very good, made me feel very good, and we were all super proud at the end of the day. And, like, all those things for me is how I can transfer my emotions to someone else. Because they leave, and they'll think about it. They'll think about it the next day. They'll think about it 3 days later. They'll think about it a week later. That's how I transfer my emotions to someone else, right? Because I'm not really having a conversation with you. But I am through my food, through my thoughts, through, like, so many things, right? And like, Nick went to a few of these, and we had so many, like, we were trying to do some off-the-wall shit. Like, let's do this. Let's play it on a table. Let's make a dessert room. And all of that was great. But we stripped all of that. We stripped all of it. What does this really mean to you, to me, to us? That's what it was about. I mean, I feel like that dinner was the best I've ever done.
Wow, bro. I'm bummed I wasn't at this dinner, dog.
It's fun. I mean, I was gonna say it's funny. I guess it's not funny, but it brings to mind I don't know if to call it the mantra, but more like the description that Vicky and Vanessa always use for what they do of radical storytelling, right? Like where you're getting to the root of what you're trying to say with the thing.
I had this crazy thought back when we were talking to them. Like, I wanted to do a dinner in a room with only 10 people, right? And in between each course, I wanted to have a scene of a story that we wanted to tell. Mm-hmm. And that story go along with the food. What I mean, and we talked. I don't know if we ever aired that part of that conversation. Did we ever? No, right? We must have spoke for another 90 minutes after that, right?
We basically kept that for the vault.
Right, the vault.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, and I love all my restaurants. I think that they're all amazing, and they help me express a lot of things and a lot of emotions and feelings. But there's like an over-residing thing that's like this, almost this unattainable. And I've attained a lot in a very young career. I've attained a ton, and I'm super fortunate and blessed. But this over-attaining thing of this small restaurant that's just serving 30 people a day, and it's only telling a story, right? Mm-hmm. Which would be called sencillo. That's all it is. That's the whole story. And in between that whole experience, there's people, and there's like, the room would go dark, and it would just shine a light on Robby, and Robby would say a monologue of something that matters. And I don't know what that is, and I haven't gotten that far. Yeah. But that kind of thing. And that, to me, is like my version of what Grant Achatz does. Because Grant does it through incredible techniques that...
What's this?
Alinea.
In Chicago.
In Chicago. Which pulls people in their mind that they could never think about food. And that's why he's incredibly special, and that's why, you know, his restaurant's top 20 in the world in the last 10 years, and they've had 3 Michelin stars for a decade, and I've eaten there, and it's incredible, right? I find that experience incredible, but for me, the experience is different because we need to tell a story that nobody knows. Because they don't want to know. They don't want to accept it. They don't want to say that those small boats that are made out of cars that are floating in the middle of that 90 miles between here and there were people once upon a time on those boats. Mm-hmm. And they're no longer on them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't want to say that story.
Yeah.
But we do.
Bro, I fucking love that idea, dude. I love that idea. I'm sure Vicky and Vanessa were jazzed about it, bro.
I mean, we spoke for 90 minutes after a podcast of something that's never aired.
Yeah. But you're keeping it in the vault for what reason? Is it because you don't want to share that with the public?
I think we really just recorded it like, hey, we just want to talk about this and let's record it because we've been drinking for 2 hours and we don't want to forget.
Right. No, but I've never forgotten.
No, like
Joaquin, great job today, bro.
But yeah,
thank you so much.
It was recorded more for our notes, basically, like for reference.
Yeah. Got you.
Because I feel like, you know, money and recognition and all that and awards are great. They're awesome. But that's not the goal.
No.
That is not the goal. You said it. Legacy is the goal.
Legacy, bro. And that's why I'm writing my play. Well, I wrote my play back in 2016, which is funny. You started out here at that time. I wrote my play back then, and now after you know, being on heels in that, I come back, and that's what I want to do, bro. I want to tell my stories, you know. I want to tell our stories, and I totally, bro, I love that idea about having a restaurant be an experience, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to eat incredible food.
Yeah.
But if you can help people understand why you're cooking this food at the same time, I think it more gives validation to the food. And then to the story. Equally.
I mean, dude, now that you brought that up, is that monologue that we did in the first Amparo in New York, Wouldn't that be fucking fantastic? I mean, that kind of thing.
What was that monologue? You remember it?
No, bro, I don't remember. I mean, that was, but it was basically, and I can find it, man. But it was basically just saying, like, I start off the monologue like saying, oh, you know, Cuba, and you're gonna feel the sand in between your and this, that.
I remember.
And everything's beautiful, and the music is playing very. And then I tell the guy,
You good,
yo,
Marcus? Yeah.
and then in the middle of that thing,
Watch out, Nick.
there's like a woman playing piano, and she's playing a very typical like
Yeah.
a beat Cuban, like what a gringo might think of Cuban, right? And then I tell her like, yo, cut it, and then I get serious, right? And
I remember.
and that shit was bro, it was fucking dope, man. I wish they would have kept that element in the Miami one, bro, because I just feel it's you connect with it whether you're a chef or not. It's like, bro, it's anybody who's trying to do something creative that's a Cuban American feels that in some way.
I mean, they have to.
They have to, right?
They have to. You know?
Yeah.
I remember that. It's fun and it's all this,
Yeah,
and then it's
yeah.
like, but it's not.
But it's actually, yeah.
It's actually very, like, it's a very sad, real story.
Yeah, and now and then the journey is, I'm gonna take you now to see the real thing.
Right.
And then we would take you through that whole journey. But I don't know, man. That's something
I
you might
remember.
wanna
I
think
remember. I
about.
was standing in the audience with Eileen Andrade from Finca,
Yeah.
and I remember like thinking, like, I'm gonna try my best to not be emotional here.
Mm.
And that was like that. I went to that right before my journey of a lot of things happened. Right, like I lost a ton of weight. I changed my life completely. That was the beginning of that journey. That's why I remember it so vividly, because that the day before or a couple days before is when I decided to take this journey. Right. So I went to New York and I said, this is going to be my last stint of just like fucking off and doing whatever I wanted, right? Smoking. I haven't touched a cigarette in 4 years. Since then.
Oh, wow.
I lost 160 pounds
Holy
since
shit,
then.
dude.
Yeah, 160 pounds since then. And that was the beginning of that story. That was it. And I remember standing in the audience and just being within 5 feet of Eileen and just saying, like, you know, like, we live this every day. We're in New York. This is like a different group of people. And then seeing Eileen very emotional and me equally being very emotional, be like, okay, so we're good. We're in a safe space.
Yeah.
We're solid here.
Yeah.
And it was like it will rock me to my core forever.
Wow, no wonder, dude. Now that you say all of that, bro, no wonder that monologue had the impact that it did, bro. No wonder, bro. We got to talk about the losing weight shit, because I feel like I'm starting that journey too now, bro. And I've lost 40 pounds since I shot.
I know, I can
Heels.
tell, and that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Congrats,
bro. I'm trying to get that shit going, but it's
I see you putting in work.
well here and there, bro. This last month I've fucked off a little bit, which I'm kind of down on myself about. But I got to get back on that horse, bro, because you know I just had a kid too, bro.
Congrats.
Yeah, dog. 7 months, man. She's 7 months old. Wow. I don't share it on socials because that shit can get weird, and I don't want people fucking like the lead in our show. You know, he's always trying to hide shit because people fucking, you know, they want to see his kid, and then they have their kid. You know, they post pictures of your kid and fucking
It's weird.
It's whack. So I've kind of kept that private, but that's been huge for me, bro. Is just like trying to build some healthy habits, because when I was in New York, I was just work. You probably in the space you were in before 2017 or whatever it was.
No, I mean, my space in 2021 is pretty similar.
Right.
Oh.
But you learned how to not, because I think what happened to me was I fell into bad habits of like I work hard and I'm exhausted, and then I go home and I fucking indulge, right? So I was, I'm extreme, dude. We're Leos. So we found out
we are extreme.
Four exactly, dog.
Well, I mean, it's like
There's
today.
no-
I showed up to work at 9 a.m.
Uh-huh.
I'm still here now.
Yeah.
I had a trainer show up at 3 o'clock. I trained for 90 minutes in the middle of my day. I showered. I fucking went back to work. Like, I've I find time for me to do the things that it keeps me and my equilibrium right. And that's like, it's hard, right? Because in my role, oftentimes what happens is people tell you all the things that are wrong, but they never ever ask you, like, how are you doing? Like, what's your life like? Because when you're at the top of the totem pole, no one gives a fuck about what you're doing, right? And I would say, in a lot of ways, you've reached that thing that you're like, you're at the top, you're on a Starz show, you're on Broadway, like all kinds of things of like writing your own play. I mean, people think you probably have it all figured out, but at the same time, we're human beings and we don't have it all figured out.
At all, man.
You have to you have to carve out that time and that thing for you.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it.
I'm learning how to do that, man. And
I forced, this is a funny story of the last 24 hours. I was exhausted. I was in bed by 9:45 yesterday watching football, and all I wanted was to fucking go to 7-Eleven and buy Ben & Jerry's. That's all I wanted. And I did not do it. I went to sleep, and I did not do it.
God bless you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
Proud,
it's like one of the simple things of just like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna smoke this joint and then eat a fuck ton of Ben & Jerry's. I'm not gonna do it.
You're not
I'm
gonna
go
do
to
it.
bed.
Right.
But you gotta make that decision, bro.
I know, dude. I know, man. I feel like I've gotten to that place where it's like it's now or never, bro. I gotta make that change now. you
Well,
know?
it's funny because you're 31.
31.
That's when I made the change.
Something about that age, and
31. You know why? Because you feel like you just turned 30. Now you're on like, you're 31. It's like I'm closer to 40. I'm dying. I'm almost dead.
Bro, I've been dying for 2 years.
I'm dead.
From 29, I've been dying, dog.
At like 31, you're like, I'm dying. Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
be 40 in no time.
100%, bro.
Fuck, I just turned 36, and I'm like, I'm dying. Like, what's happening next?
I
So,
know, dude.
I mean, I think viscerally, and it's like, also like my family's, like my mom's side of the family is like very good. My dad's side of the family is like very overweight, very unhealthy, like a lot of things. And I was like, I just don't want to be that. And you know, like one day I would like to have what you have. I'd like to have kids. I'd like to have a family and the whole thing. But I can't do that if I feel like shit.
No, bro. You
No.
cannot.
You cannot.
Dude. No, you can't. You can't, man. And then the thought of mortality seeps even more into your mind because now I'm thinking, dude, I want to be here for a large portion of her life, you know, and whatever kids I have after her. So I'm just making those changes, bro. But they, you know, I feel like sometimes you go 2 steps front and then step back, and that's I think where I'm at now. It's like, dude, I gotta reprogram that shit that I had maybe 3 months ago. You know,
I'll tell you that the reality though is that life will always take you 2 steps back. It's like how you react to those 2 steps back. It's like, okay, I took 2 steps back. Okay, I'm gonna reanalyze and I'm gonna reassess and I'm gonna move forward.
yeah,
That's it. Like, I just opened Chugs. Like, for 3 weeks, all I did was work, and all I did was care about like the state of the situation.
oh,
The internal
boy.
clock went off.
Oh man, she's got it down to a science, bro.
Cool. That's great. I mean, like that thing. I know it very well. It's like you cannot beat yourself up after like the first 3 to 4 weeks of Chugs, like week of pre-opening, 3 weeks of opening. Like it was rough, and it was a lot, and it was like waking up at 6 a.m. and going to work, and you know, I usually work out at 6 a.m. and all those kind of things. Like, okay, so here's the problem. It's not a problem. This is life. How do I reassess this part of life? And then what do I do? And I was like, okay, so I have 2 trainers and I do this. And I was, okay, so now we need to just change the way life works. And that's what I did.
You adjusted.
You adjust.
You have to, bro.
You pivot.
Yeah.
You do what makes sense for you because it's your life and what makes you feel comfortable, and then you just fucking do that thing.
Yeah, with my shit is super similar, bro, because like I shot the show from September to April of 2021, and that's one life, right? I had a schedule there, I had a way of living there, and then moving back here, you know what I mean, getting an apartment. Fucking now I have a baby. She's, when we first got back to Miami, she was, I think, 2 months old. So then it's constantly adjusting that schedule to fit what it is that I want, right?
Right.
And it's so much easier to be fuck off and just like, well, I'll go
Soup.
eat, whatever the fuck I want. Or Uber Eats. And, nah, bro, you got to set that shit down and be disciplined about it. The same way I am about writing or acting, I got to transfer that into my personal life.
For sure.
And that's been for me, I think.
This is why when I say, like, the world will always tell you their problems, and they will assess their problems towards you, and then that's the point that you say, listen, I get it. What do I need?
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like, I know my 90 minutes of training every day is very good for my mental health. Incredibly important for me to feel like I can crush every single fucking day, because I boxed for fucking 60 minutes and then I trained for 30 minutes after that. Like, I know, like, that's going to set me up for success. And I'll be tired. But tired is a state of mind.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, you set up that state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You do it yourself. So it's like, where do you want to put your energy, right? So, you have family, you have things. Where do you want to put that energy?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to put that energy into the world, as in social media of some kind, or all those things of some kind? Thanks, Case. Thank you.
Clutch.
Or do you want to put it into the things that make you feel right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, for me, people tell me that I'm like detached from the world. Like, nah, I'm just taking care of me.
You have to, bro.
Got to, man.
We were talking about anxiety, dude. I wonder. So the boxing and all that shit and the health side is huge. And
like, I came from a world that I did organized sports for 12 years of my life.
same.
And being part of an organized sport that I'm not actually trying to do an organized sport, like, I boxed. I don't know if have I ever talked about when I boxed that 24-year-old kid
I don't know if you did it on the podcast.
on the podcast?
We talked about it. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't remember if
boxed.
it was
I
you.
boxed I sparred a 24-year-old kid that's trying to be like a pro boxer,
Oh shit.
and I mean, it was a fight.
Yeah.
It was a fight. It was a good fight. After the fight, I was bloodied and I was beaten, but I was ready to go.
Really, dude?
I was ready to go, and like after that, I was like, I felt alive. And it's one of those things that I know I'm not going to be a pro boxer, and I love boxing. It's like, when you love it, you love it. But I feel like I love it because it made me understand something about myself that I didn't know previously. And, like that kid, I pushed that kid to the limit, and it's going to help him in his growth as trying to be a pro boxer. Like,
When did you start boxing?
just 3.5 years ago.
Okay, so when you started to lose the weight, you
Yeah,
started
yeah.
boxing.
Yeah, I started as like fitness boxing and like cardio and the whole thing, and then
Yeah.
because I'm like I compete daily. Like, I compete every day against my staff, against my people, against people around me. Like, it's just part of my nature.
Yeah.
It just became like something that I just do every day. Like, I box every day. I watch boxing every day.
Really? You went fucking...
Yeah, I went super in because it helped me mentally to do something other than what I do 95% of my life. It expelled my mind somewhere else.
I love that, man. I've been thinking about jiu-jitsu, which could serve a similar purpose to what you just said, you know? Yeah.
It's a discipline. It's a discipline. Forget about, like, you're not trying to beat somebody.
Yeah.
You're going to be beaten.
Right.
You will be beaten. We're old, dog.
Yeah.
I'm older than you, but we're old.
Yeah.
We're not going to beat these kids trying to do this thing.
Right.
And I wish them the best. I hope that they're super successful and that they fucking break heads, you know? But at the same time, it's like, for us, it's a discipline that we learn that helps us in our life. And especially as being artists, right? I feel like I'm more of a craftsman. It's what I do. Like, you're an artist. I'm a craftsman.
I could be a craftsman, I guess.
For sure. And there's no doubt to that. And I can be an artist, but I consider myself a craftsman.
I see what you're saying.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, like, synonymous
Yeah.
attributes to both.
You're right.
But at this age, like, I'm not going to be a pro boxer. I'm not going to be on prime time. And I know that. You know, I've accepted that shit in my life.
Yeah.
But it's learning the discipline and learning the purity of that sport that helps you grow as a human being. And I can guarantee you that it will help you in your profession, too.
It'll bleed into that, yeah.
For sure. Like, when I was boxing at my peak, which I broke my finger, so it hurt my peak, I was, like, at the best food-wise. Because the discipline helps you discipline yourself elsewhere.
Yeah.
And, like, you with a family and all those things, it'll help.
It frees the mind a little bit, too, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's like
90 minutes of making sure you don't get your fucking face kicked in will fucking help. For sure.
Exactly, dude.
I remember after, like, that was probably 6-7 weeks ago now. When I boxed that kid, is good kid. Definitely not conditioned enough. But, I mean, I was bloody. I was bloodied everywhere. You know?
Yeah.
Humbles you. And humbling is good.
Well, dude, speaking of humbling, bro, I mean, I want to talk about that when you first started the boxing. And I think this is interesting to me because, like, as we're talking about it, right, the thing that automatically kicks in is, well, I'm going to fucking suck at it.
Yeah.
And being that you were already fucking far along in your career, you had gotten through that time in your career where you're like, I'm going to suck at this, and it is what it is. But at 31 or whatever it was, you were 32, 33, whatever, to say, I'm going to take up this new thing.
Yeah.
That I'm going to look like a bitch doing this in the beginning.
Yeah.
And this guy's probably going to judge me or whatever. You have all those fucking demons, you know, saying all kinds of shit.
I know, but who's judging you?
I know. At the end of the day, it's you judging you, right?
Exactly.
But my point is still those demons are in there. And so for you to take that step and be like, you know what? I'm going to fucking take this boxing class.
Yeah.
I might be out of shape, whatever. That's ballsy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like you are only fighting yourself to progress to somewhere else that you didn't know you could get to.
Right.
And that's like a mental thing that you have to fight within you. And like, for me, I fight that battle every day. You know, it's like I'm not great at this. Like, as a cook, you do a bunch of things every day that you're not perfect at. You are learning every single day. You're learning something new every single day. You're doing something that you're not an expert at. Because if you're a baker and that's what you dedicate your life to, that's what you dedicate your fucking life to. When you're a cook, you dedicate yourself to learning. That's the reality of it. Because cooking is nothing but learning. I mean, and I think maybe that's why I love it so much, but like, man, I learn new shit every single fucking day. I sat down with my staff today and I said, what is it that you really love to do and what do you want to do? And they were like, well, I really want to do this. I'm like, I don't know shit about that. Let's do that. Let's do it. I don't give a fuck. I want to learn about it.
Yeah.
I want to get better at it. You can teach me something I never knew before. And that's just like very interesting and it's very humbling, right? Because I think that's why chefs fail. I think that's why humans fail. Because they don't humble themselves to understand, like, you're not the best at everything, man. You're just not.
Yeah, right.
You're not. Like,
Right,
you're not
right.
perfect. Humans, we are perfectly imperfect. Because we are surviving, we're breathing, we're living. But you're not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect. And food is perfectly imperfect. And I find, actually, the food that is perfectly imperfect has more soul and more realism than food that is perfect.
Interesting.
It's just like very weird stride to be perfect. That when
Yeah.
you get there, it's sterile and just doesn't exist.
I feel like music is like that, right?
Oh man, music. Don't
Yeah.
even get me started there.
No, I hear you, bro.
Don't even get me started there.
Yeah, you're right.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Bro, I listen to everything. I've been on a kick of like 90s fucking rock, dude. So
90s rock, huh?
Dave Matthews Band.
Oh man,
That's my
I've been
shit.
to 15 Dave Matthews concerts.
Really, dude?
Yeah, 15.
I went to the last one they did.
Me too.
Really, bro?
Yeah,
Fuck,
on Friday.
right
I
on,
went.
dog.
I went to the Friday show.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I went to
what-
my first Dave show when I was 14.
Wow, bro.
Yeah, such an incredible performer.
Oh, he's a fucking beast. It was my first time seeing him live, and it was amazing. Just like, fuck, dude, this guy sounds like
Yeah.
because sometimes you get let down by
Oh,
bands. You're
super
like,
let
fuck.
down.
So Dave Matthews Band, Incubus was big for me growing up too.
Oh, Incubus.
Yeah, Incubus.
I love
is big
Incubus,
for me,
man.
bro. Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
good.
early Incubus. They got a little weird at the end, and it's cool.
Drive. That song was fucking big.
Have you ever heard Tab Benoit before?
No,
How about St. Paul and the Broken Bones?
no, dude.
Do yourself a favor.
Damn, I gotta write those down after.
Yeah,
bro.
St. Paul and the Broken Bones. I saw
Yeah.
them when they were like very small in Fort Lauderdale, and they had like, you out here, dog? Yes, sir. Love you, dog. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thursday. Enjoy your day off. Yes, sir. I saw St. Paul when they had one album and no one was listening to it. In Fort Lauderdale, it was like maybe 100 people there.
Yeah,
And man, they're so good.
that's
So good. Tab Benoit is like probably one of the best known artists out of New Orleans that no one really knows about.
okay.
And he's in fucking incredible. So I highly recommend them.
I'll listen for sure, dude. For sure.
But
Um,
you know, it's interesting because I've been on a huge Amnesty kick. You ever heard Amnesty before?
nah.
Oh man,
You're
got-
turning me on to some shit tonight.
It's what
dog.
it's what we try to do here on Ponko
Yeah,
Podcast.
Yeah,
It's what we try to do.
I dig it, bro.
I'm texting all these names
Oh,
to Robbie
good,
in real
good,
time.
good.
Yeah, good. I love
Oh
that.
yeah. See, I already got.
I love that.
I got 3 texts here from Nick. Perfect, bro. Thank you, dude.
So, anyways,
Yeah. So
I want to talk about something.
okay.
Have you like prospectively thought about the fact that you're on a Starz show? Have you like sat back? And I only ask this because now that I know that I'm older than you, I can pull the card. But like, have you sat back and like thought about perspective and thought about like the ride to be on a Starz show?
Probably not, bro.
And I get that.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I try to, right? Because I'm an introspective dude. Like I do that, and every once in a while I check in with myself on that type of shit. But it's too close right now where I can't
Sure.
see it. You know what I mean? I can't really see it. But there's things about it. Like when I booked the gig, I was out to Atlanta a week later after I heard I booked it. A week later, I'm out to Atlanta to shoot this thing. And I remember thinking back on the journey, bro, because I had to make a cross-country road trip with my girl. She was pregnant at the time.
Oh man, I love.
And we're fucking doing
cross-country
Yeah, bro.
rides.
We went Miami to LA and then LA to Miami again. And I remember thinking about it, bro. I remember thinking about the journey, dude, and it's fucking insane, dude. I so much of it is just being I hate saying luck, dude.
Oh, but luck is when preparation meets opportunity, dog.
It's that, dog. It's
Yeah.
completely that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I felt it in my fucking and I don't know, man. I felt like things were just gonna work out, bro. I think back to myself being in New York, 21 years old, and just the balls on that dude, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good for you.
Not knowing anybody, bro. But I even speak about it as it's some other fucking guy because I don't know if and that's why it's a young man sport, like taking those risks sometimes. I don't know if at 31 I'd make the same decision, you know, to start something and not know anybody. I didn't know anyone in New York when I moved, bro. You know,
I mean, but there's a lot of power in that.
no doubt, dude.
You are you who you want to be.
No doubt, bro.
You know, like when I moved to Virginia at 18 to go to college
Okay.
to play football, like I was the only Cuban kid
Virginia.
in Virginia, in
Yeah.
bumfuck Virginia, that it wasn't even like the cool part of Virginia, because that does exist.
Okay.
I mean, it was like it was a crazy experience, and that molded a lot of my life. It really did.
Yeah.
The shit that I did there for 4 years and what I learned there, that's the first time I worked in an actual restaurant. It's when I moved there.
Wow. And at that point, you didn't know that you wanted to do the chef thing?
No.
Or you did?
I had no idea.
You had no idea. Wow.
No idea. I was a waiter, bar back, bartender, bar manager, expediter, dishwasher, all kinds of things.
Is that how it usually works for
No.
chefs or no? Okay,
No,
so
I mean,
people
there's two like paths for chefs, which is the kids that like structure themselves behind Grand Acad's, and they're like, I want to be this very structured thing, and I want to do this thing, but I'm a pirate. That's what I tell. It's what I tell my staffs. I was
Yeah.
like, we're a bunch of fucking pirates,
Uh-huh.
and we're on a fucking pirate ship. It's like, who wants to be the best on the fucking pirate ship? That's really the reality of it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I don't do structure super well in the kitchen. Like, the day-to-day I do structure well, but when it comes to, like, emotions and the thing and the whole thing, like, I don't do that well. What I do well is, like, what do you feel? Let's fucking ride with that. You feel a thing? Let's ride with it.
That's what makes you an artist, bro.
I guess.
Because the craftsman doesn't think like that, right?
Yeah, but the craftsman still wants that, like, pasta dough to be a thing. They still want that.
Well, you gotta have both, yeah. But,
Yeah, I mean-
but I mean that the artist side of you is the one that's like, you feel that? Let's go with that.
I mean, but I think that's what makes the things great, because that's what makes them feel.
No doubt, dude.
That's what makes them feel. I don't know. I don't know
wonder-
any other way to be.
This is more like a prompt for both of you to kind of bounce off of each other. I'm interested, as an outsider to both worlds, how each of you sees what those words mean, right? Like the artist and the craftsman in acting and in food. I have my own ideas in my own frame of reference, but I wonder how you see those distinctions. That's another thing that we talked a bit about with Ricardo. But I wonder how you see the interplay of those two things, because there's a craft and there's an art to both of those things.
You want to go first?
No, you go first,
Okay.
because I'm very intrigued of the craftsmanship of what you do.
You do, yeah. I'll give an example. So I went to, one of my friends is at Juilliard, and I went to visit Juilliard, and I saw all these amazing actors who were technically amazing.
Right.
Technically, bro, they are fucking beasts, right?
Sure.
And I saw the play because they had us see all the classes, and then at the end, the senior class was doing a play, and I saw this play, and they were all technically fucking amazing, but I didn't feel shit, right?
Right.
I didn't feel anything, bro. And I think for me, I don't know, craftsman, I think of it in acting as the technique, right? You're good at
Agreed.
the technique of acting.
It's the same both ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page. And then, you know, my kind of actor and why Brando was, to me, fucking God, is that motherfucker made you feel something, dude.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he made you feel something because he was feeling something. It wasn't some made up shit. It was things that he was pulling up from his own life. And so for me, that's the distinction in the acting world is, yes, you might be technically sound and you might be a fucking great craftsman, but can you make me feel something? Is where I make that distinction.
I feel like we just spoke on music real quick, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel music so hard because I think craftsmanship and feeling in music is like pretty hand in hand. Like, if you are a craftsman and you are like a viscerally emotional musician, like, you can feel that. Right? It's incredibly difficult to feel it on the other end. Actors, and I get you 100%. Like, technically sound actors, they can do the things and they do all the motions and they do all the prompts super well. But do I understand what you're saying? Probably not really, right? When it comes to food, and it's just like what I do. So like I feel it so hard. Like I can tell you like, you're just trying to be like someone else. You're not like, I still don't know who you are. I still don't know the story you're trying to tell. I still don't know this thing, what it means to you. And for me, like, I never wanted to leave a doubt. Like, when I create, when I think about food, when I'm in my moment, which I feel like now is actually rare in my moment, because like when I was in my younger years, the moment was more it was more common. Like, it was
Why do you think that is, dude?
Because my job has changed.
Huh?
I'm an architect as opposed to just a creator. I'm an architect of things, of people, of lives, of conceptions, of it's a lot.
That's big, bro. That's big what you just said there, yeah.
But like that moment, like I hear Benny Moré in the background. I hear Celia Cruz in the background. I hear my grandparents in the background. And for me, that's emotion. That's real craftsmanship. But the art is there. Like, I'm telling you a story. I'm extending a hand to you to understand who I am. And it's not common. It's not like a very normal experience. It's not like and for the regular diner, it's not every day. And that's why I would say that for stage acting, as opposed to film acting, stage acting is much more like visceral of experience. Like, I can touch you.
Yeah.
Because the people that are there want to be there. Right?
Yeah.
The people that just have a show on, they just have a show on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the same experience as like someone that just wants like a chicken salad. This is a thing for me right now. They just want a chicken salad, or they want to understand why this chicken salad is on the menu.
Okay.
You know, like, why is this chicken salad on the menu? Why is this egg salad on the menu? Because growing up, I went to Versailles or La Cajeta or whatever, and I would have this chicken salad with a bunch of shitty accoutrements around it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't want shitty accoutrements. I want this beautiful accoutrements. And I want it to be, like, tasty and seasoned and delicious. And that's me telling you a story of like what I really wanted out of life. What I feel like this Cuban American experience of like all these experiences I had that I feel like I can do better really are. Or Ariette's experience of like, I'm telling you a story of like struggle and progress, and my people weren't allowed to think for 60 years. If they were allowed to think, this is maybe what they would have done. It's a much bigger story, you know? So,
you just explained that the question I had earlier of how do you express all your emotions through what you do. I am I right, Nick? Right? It's
I think and I was gonna say I don't hate to, because he says a lot of good shit, Ricardo. To keep referring to Ricardo in this conversation.
I mean, he's a legend.
And also, for you, it might be news, because I guess you don't remember anything that we talked about.
I remember nothing.
So, Ricardo said a couple of things that I think were pertinent to what you guys were talking about. And Robby, maybe you have things to say about this, but some of what Mike was saying brought it to mind. One of those things was Ricardo saying that art is a reflection on ideas and emotion at the same time. So the example he uses in that interview that we did, in the conversation we had, was because Ricardo, being Ricardo, he tries to relate it to what Mike does, right? He says, I would like to taste a dish that's a reflection on remembered bitterness, right? You can be bitter in the moment, but what about that bitterness that you remember from the past? that you're not bitter now, but you're remembering when you were bitter, and what does that look like in a plate? Right?
Yeah.
So this idea of reflecting on emotions and ideas and having art, and this was a lot of that conversation was about Latin American art being distinct from the rest of the world, or from at least European art, in that it was very philosophical rather than expressing necessarily other things. And the other thing that he said that I think touches on a lot of what you're talking about, right? And an overlap with this idea of what it is to, say, be Cuban American, or maybe have like a cultural tradition, is the idea of art as being a dialogue not with the audience, but with your tradition, and the audience just happens to be there to listen in. So he talks about, like, when I'm writing sonnets, right?
Yeah.
I'm having a dialogue with the centuries of sonneteers who came before me, and I wouldn't be having the conversation if I didn't want people to read it. But I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the sonneteers. Maybe you're talking to Brando. Maybe you're talking to La Palma, and you're talking to Norman. You're talking you're having a dialogue with your tradition, and yeah, you're only having it hoping that people will listen in, but you're not talking to them. You're talking to your tradition.
Wow, yeah, dude, that I had never thought about it that way, bro.
I live and die by a quote. A man who wants to lead the orchestra must turn his back to the crowd.
It's kind of what Ricardo's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're leading the orchestra because you want to have a conversation with the people who, you know, whether it's that they've inspired you or they informed you. But I wonder if that resonates with you in some
Dude,
way.
I mean, it's literally the quote I look at every morning
Wow,
when I wake
bro,
up.
yeah. That
Because
shit, yeah.
because the crowd wants a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to be like the jovial guy, the thing, the one that's on like Disney Plus, the one that's like on all kinds of things that are like
on heels, on Starz.
that's enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of like texture, you don't have a lot of context. For me, they want me to be like, cool, I'm okay with being like, I love being on the top 10 Benedict's list of Miami. I'm cool with being on top 10 happy hours of whatever. I can give 0 fucks about any of that stuff. Do you understand the story I'm trying to tell? Do you understand who I am? Do you understand who we are? Do you understand? I mean, for me, it's like a city thing too, right? Like, do you understand what Miami is going through? The growing pains that we're going through on a food process, on a human process. Because there's a lot of people our age. There's a lot of people within that 27 to 40 bracket that are trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Do they understand that? Do they want to adopt that? Do they want to tell that story? Often not. That's why we do this fucking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Because, I mean, in reality, that's why we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the story of Robby. Tell the story of so many other people.
Let's get the story of Robby.
We've gotten the story of Robby.
I just asked him a question and you just fucking jumped in.
All right, I'm gonna
with your
fuck
fucking
off.
with the fucking quote on your phone.
Don't have him fuck
It's
off.
a good quote. For
It is a
fuck's
good
sake.
fucking.
Don't worry, this is how half the podcast.
Yeah. Nah, bro.
So Robby, what do you think of dialoguing with your tradition? Let me show you a quote on my phone, motherfuckers.
Nah, that's what's beautiful about the pod, dog. That's what's fucking. That's what makes it.
You can find us on Patreon.
It's patreon.com/DADE Get your mugs for $15 a month. Join the Abuela Mami tier for a bag of coffee shipped to you every month.
I'll give you a bag of coffee.
Oh, baby.
Bro, two things. One is two things. One is you bring up our age bracket. I think one of the fucking coolest things right now is we're starting to see people like you brought up Eileen earlier, Andrade. These are people who I throw Eddie Fuentes in there, who's from Spanglish. He's my boy, bro. That's where we did the reading last night, and it's these people who are in our similar age bracket that are doing fucking cool shit, bro, and new shit, and they're bringing our vibe to whatever it is that they're doing. And then speaking on what you were talking about, Nick, I think of writing I think writing is what comes up to mind. Writing the play about my grandfather, and thinking about it instead of like, how do I please this audience, but how do I stay truthful to not just my grandfather, but all the other people who went through what he went through,
Right.
including the people who were in the revolution. You know what I mean? Like, how to be truthful to those lives, even though, we might disagree with them, or we in a lot of ways we fucking hate those people that did those things to our
Yeah, but they
our
were led
family.
in the wrong direction, and there's a lot of reasons. behind
Exactly, bro. Exactly, and the play does take those questions into mind. So, for me, bros, that's great, dude. I'm gonna listen back on that podcast and listen to what you just said, Nick. That Paul said, because I want to start thinking about my work more through that lens. You know what I mean? Instead of through the lens of how do I please people? How do they?
But that's the easy get, right? Like, how do we please people?
Yeah, right. Right.
I say it. I've said it so many times. It's the burrata salad. The burrata salad for me is the people pleaser. It's what people want. It's what they do. They'll order it every time. And I can give zero fucks about that fucking salad because it means absolutely nothing to me.
You know what about that though? Is that when I went to Chugs, and this is a real ass shit. I went to Chugs. I've been eating pan con bistec my whole fucking life.
Right.
Right. So I get to Chugs and I asked the guy. I say, what do you recommend between the sandwiches? And he said the pan con bistec. And I said, I don't know exactly what I asked, but he said that the steak was different than what I'd be used to.
Right.
And I said, fuck it, man. I'll give it a try, dude. I usually, being in New York and all this shit, people say pan con bistec, and it's not a fucking pan con bistec. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting to not like this shit. I'm like, I might not like this shit. I'm a picky eater too, bro.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I love
dog.
you.
I'm picky as fuck, right?
I love that.
So I'm waiting for this, and it comes out, bro. And like I told you earlier, bro, I fucking loved it, dude. I loved it to the point where you told me to come for dinner. I want to come for lunch because that's when the sandwiches are there. I don't know if for dinner.
No, they're there all the
okay,
time.
they're all there. Okay, dope,
All the time.
dope. But,
We're a diner.
right, but it's bro. You're definitely doing that with all the food that you're making and the restaurants that you're doing, bro.
But like the idea of a lot of that is melding that Cuban and American culture together.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a pan con bistec that's modeled after a roast beef, which I love. Also modeled after a French dip, which I love. And it's still very meaningful to people like us. And to me, that's a beautiful thing. Like, that's, to me, like, the entire purpose of what I do is to tell you and to tell myself, like, we have a place here. We have a place. We have made our place. I don't want to be the best pan con bistec. I give zero fucks about that fight. That fight, like, y'all can keep it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I love you guys for fighting that fight. That's cool. But this is my story to y'all.
Yeah, bro.
Like, my story to you guys is, like, I love this shit because I was born and raised here. But I love this shit because also, like, us as Cubans, we love this pan con bistec tradition, which I still go to Mary's all the time, and I still have the pan con bistec there, and I fucking love it.
Right.
And I can go at all hours of the day, and I'll still eat it, and it's fucking delicious. But this is my interpretation of that.
Yeah.
Tradition can be changed. You know why? Because we are not... We have changed, man. We have changed. As humans, we have changed. As a culture, we have changed. There is no tradition to our culture right now. We are expediting that tradition. We are creating that tradition. We are the tradition. We are the architects of that tradition. So, like, people like Avian and Roberto at Caja China and, like, what they're doing and keeping that tradition alive and, like, modernizing it for the world, not just for the country, but for the world, is huge.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's why I just did the Luda Can't Cook. For everyone that has Discovery Plus, if you want to watch Luda Can't Cook and see myself and Avian cooking with
Oh shit! I didn't.
Ludacris. Yeah.
Okay.
Teaching him how to make a cajachina. That was the whole purpose of that.
Right.
To introduce that culture and that like simplicity of like who we are and what we do to the world.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And I did it with a guy that I've known since I was fucking 13. And I love that. I love that. And we did it in my restaurant. We did it with, people that I love. Like that to me is what legacy, talking about what we talked about earlier, touching on what we talked about earlier. That's what that's what it means.
Yeah.
We're retelling a story. We're reinventing a story because at the same time, our people that have been there for 60 years are still not free, but we are. So we could say and do whatever the fuck we want because we have that freedom to do that because people sacrifice a ton so we can do it.
Exactly, bro.
So we can do it. And it's like how you do with your writing, how you do with your fucking performing. It's the same thing. Like for me, I put it on a plate every day. Every day.
Are you thinking about taking shit past like Miami, or are you thinking about?
I don't know.
outside
It's
of Miami?
it's a money move, and that's like
Yeah. But is it a goal of yours or not really?
I don't
You're
know.
cool with it being down here and you just serving
I don't
the
know.
community here.
I have no
You
idea.
haven't thought about.
Like, people ask me that a lot, and I love that idea. But at the same time, it's like it means so much more here.
I hear you, and I think that. But there's something to be said about. I'll relay it to me. So I wrote this play about my grandfather. I want to do it in Miami. That's where I want to. Right.
I
Because
want
it's
you
our
to do it in
fucking-
Miami.
Yeah. So that's the
Sign
goal.
me up. Where
But-
can I buy a ticket?
Yeah. But,
Everyone, buy your tickets here on Patreon.
Yeah, we need investors actually. So the Patreon
Ladies and
guys.
gentlemen, that's not how
We need
Patreon
investors?
works.
How much money are we
we
trying
need-
to raise?
minimum to do it the right way. 50 G's.
50 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
What,
Gotta
is
give me a
that
bigger
small?
number than that.
Really?
Yeah, 50 grand. To do it the right
To
way?
do it the right. Well, no. Sorry. You're right. Let me rephrase that. To do it the right way, 100 would be nice.
Okay.
But enough to do it and do it justice, 50. But my thing about that was, I have it in my fucking head that I want to make it, because the play takes place in a Cuban prison and then in a 1960s American radio station. So in my head, I want it to be in Spanish when it needs to be in Spanish, and then in English when it needs to be in English.
I love this.
Okay? Now, I want to do that here. Like, have that, like, Spanish when it's Spanish, English when it's in... And I think we can do that here. I think that the message of the play needs to be told to American audiences in
Right.
specific.
Sure.
Because there's shit that they just don't understand. It goes back to what we were talking about
They'll
earlier.
never, but
I know.
they'll
I
never
know, bro.
understand it.
I know, dude.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, both you, myself, and Nick boil down to a Cuban sandwich.
I know.
Yeah,
That's
but,
what-
but there's, I mean, and I never really talked to you about this,
Yeah.
Robby. But I think Amparo, and to a certain degree, what you do, Mike, and various things that I've done, like yeah, there are people that you could say that about, but you have to sift through them to find those other people who are receptive. And I'm sure through Amparo, you had probably personal interactions with people that you maybe could have made that assumption about, and then once they were maybe because their Cuban friend brought them,
Yeah.
and then their eyes were open to a thing, you know.
I remember specifically Jewish people that were coming to the show, bro. Like,
See, I'm assuming
making
he's
fun.
laughing. No, he's laughing because I've been sending him texts for an hour of like notes, like hey, maybe we should talk about the show he's on.
Ah.
Maybe we should
Nah,
talk about
dog,
this
no,
or
I'd
that.
much rather
Like,
this,
I don't
bro.
know.
Fuck that. No.
We could always do a part
Nick,
2.
let
Part
fucking-
2. Like Hot Shots part
just,
2.
you know,
I also, dude, I will say I asked some questions. I baited him into
No,
some
I
shit.
know.
And it's because I want to know about
After a
him,
long
too.
day when you bait me into things, like you're going to get all of it.
Yeah,
You're going to get all of it.
No, if he had the guy, I asked you a question and he started answering.
Right.
I'm going to fuck. Nick, take my mic. I'm out.
This is dropping character with Robby Ramos.
Do I need to cut off your mic again? Yeah. Well, we did at the time we're recording this has not been released, but we recorded a live episode where we had an audience of 60 people,
Okay.
and Mike made some questionable decisions,
Oh,
and I
okay.
cut off his microphone.
I didn't make questionable decisions.
Oh, you
I made
did.
the right
No.
decision.
But are we gonna air the full thing without
It's-
you editing it?
I'm gonna edit it. It's gonna be a nightmare to edit, and it's gonna be a nightmare to listen to.
It's going to be
my
fucking
God.
amazing.
Well, I want to hear about this shit after this.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm going to stop answering Robbie's questions.
Most of which you're asking.
Nah, like I said, man, I baited you into some of those, bro. I
I really do think that we can talk about the Starz show.
No, listen.
No,
It's a great show.
Honestly, that was mostly me trying to like get you to ask a question instead
No,
of
it's
monologuing
him
about your
because he
salmon
wants
roulette.
It's because he wants to tag Starz because we're in this.
I already tagged Starz.
I know. I
he's
saw.
thinking
That
that-
already happened.
We're in this hard search for
Trying to get that
sponsors.
advertising money.
Yeah,
info at
He's on that
DadeMag.com.
producer
I would like to say that I don't know much about what you're trying to do, but I will invest into what you're trying to do. I will say it.
okay.
Thanks, Casey, for all those drinks you've been bringing.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank
Right.
Casey. Thank you so
No,
much.
I will.
Okay.
And because for me, like, money is just a thing to bring the community up. Not me. I came from very little. I'm used to little. Like, I would invest into it. Me personally, and a lot of other people would too.
Yeah.
Like, I cook for very influential Cuban people all the time. And they believe in a lot of the shit that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They do. You just got to be in front of the right audience
100%, bro.
all the time.
Right.
And it's like, good stories don't make a ton of money. They don't. Like, my story doesn't make a ton of money. It makes money, but not a ton. It would be cuter if it was like Salt Bay or Dave Grutman or Mila or all the other fucking bullshit that's out there. The $1,000 steak, a poppy steak that comes out in a briefcase.
Throwing papitas on the pan con bistec like that, dog.
Right,
You can do
like-
all types of shit with you.
All those things.
Yeah.
For me, I'm much more about like what matters.
Yeah.
Right? And I believe in shit like that. Just
Yeah.
like I believe in my own shit. Like I believe in shit like that because that's what will keep the story going. And the longer we keep the story going, just like Rosa Maria does her thing, we do our thing through our own dynamic.
Yep.
And that's what well rounds the conversation.
Yeah. And I think at the core of it, we're all telling the same story. I mean, the core message of the story is the same, you know?
Like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
100%,
Like,
yeah.
without a doubt.
Look at
Why are
Nick
you laughing?
I don't know, man. He's fucking... he's
I feel like you had this, like, your face looked like your brain almost short-circuited.
Oh, I know it did. It has. My brain is short-circuiting so many times
Oh,
today.
man, that was good.
So many times. Why are you doing that way? Why don't you do it this way? Short-circuit brain. But I don't know. Through so many different dynamics, we're telling the same story.
100%, man.
So, what's next?
I think that's for you, Robby.
Yeah,
What's
that's definitely what's next.
I am sitting down with Vicky and Vanessa.
Oh, great humans.
Great, other great humans.
They're in the vault. We haven't released that. Should we release it just for fun? No?
No,
No?
because I remember what that was. Not that there was anything provocative, but I think if you heard it again, it's stuff that is really more for yourself.
Should I hear it again?
I mean, it probably doesn't hurt.
Fuck it. Who cares?
I mean, it was really not a conversation had for public consumption.
Huh?
I kind of love
so
that.
That's what the people want to hear, bro.
I kinda love that.
What I mean by that is the whole thing was about this like idea you had in your head for a service or a restaurant or whatever, and I think that's something maybe like if we came close to that happening or some version of it, and then we put it out there. But I think I don't know. To me personally, you can do whatever you want with it. You have access to it, so you can do whatever you want. But to me personally, I think to put it out now, so far from it being a thing,
Somebody might steal it.
No, not even that. Just more like it might only serve to affect the path in a way you don't want to.
I feel about people stealing things, because people steal my things all the time, is that I'm still going to do better.
What did they steal?
Right.
I'm not going to get into that.
They can't make it like you. They can't. There's something unique
Well,
about
because
what you do
for
that-
me, it's not like a function of making money. For me, it's a function of feeling.
Yeah.
So I'll do it better.
Right.
Like recipes. You want to steal my recipe? Cool. I still do it better.
Yeah.
Because there's a meaning. There's like a purpose.
I need that Beltran's bacon recipe,
Beltran's
dog. That's
bacon.
what I need, bro.
You know, like, funny story about Beltran's bacon. My corporate chef now, which is a very dear friend, which we are going to open a restaurant with very soon.
This is who?
Phil Bryant and Veronica Valdivia. He taught me how to make that bacon.
The exact way it is, he taught you how to.
So in a lot of ways, yeah.
Okay.
Not, I wouldn't say the exact, but like in a lot of ways.
Right.
But that's what I mean. Like, you know, you learn things along the way, you adapt them to your own thing, and you do them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of that, a conversation with your tradition, right? I mean, it's very, like, lateral in the sense that you're not that far apart in age. We're not talking about somebody who wrote a 200-year-old cookbook, but your Beltran's bacon is a conversation with Phil Bryant's bacon.
Yeah, and I mean,
And wherever he got that from, too, right?
Right.
So
and I love that because, like, I love him very much, and he's incredibly talented, and he taught me so much. And, like, before he worked with us, I obviously worked without him, and, like, I just adapted that to different applications. And it was like, it's a tradition that's been carried on and carried on and carried on. Now he just works within the company, making sure that people don't suck, which is hard. It's hard. So, you know, I find that incredibly intriguing. Yeah. All right.
So
Wait,
what's
to
next for
finish
Robby?
what-
is where we're
to
what's
going.
finish
next
what I
for
was
Robby?
saying, because
For
I left a
folks-
little cliffhanger there with Vic and Vani.
Yeah.
Put together a budget, bro. These are things that I've, I haven't had to think about up until now, but to really put on this play, which is my goal, bro. It's my biggest thing right now that I'm focusing on, is coming up with a budget that has all the elements to it that you need in there to kind of explain why we're spending this money. And then fucking do this play here, man. 2022.
Does Bacardi not want to be involved?
We haven't reached out to Bacardi yet. But
Oh, no?
No, because I've been just
Shocker.
writing the play, making sure that the fucking bacon is right? I'm trying to make sure the
Gotta
shit
make sure the
before I
bacon
get-
is right, brother.
Before I...
Decide is getting a little free ad space from us. This is us giving back to Cuba.
They're getting all the love they deserve.
That's right. So they gave us some talking points here. I'm going to read them, but
Yeah.
we're going to do a little bit of riffing.
All right, yeah, cool. You read them, though.
Did you know, Michael, that the last free and fair elections in Cuba were held more than 70 years ago?
That's one of the least shocking statements I've ever heard.
Too many years.
Yeah.
Cuba wants to change. Cubans deserve to be free citizens with equal opportunities for all. Cuba Decide is a citizen initiative that is working toward a prosperous and happy Cuba, where all citizens are equal under the law and have equal access to opportunities for improvement, a democracy in which our right to choose and be chosen is respected. Mike, we had Rosa Maria Paya, founder of Cuba Decide, on the podcast. And it's a topic, obviously, that is important to the two of us, and you had a lot to say about how the being denied those rights all this time plays into your mission with Ariette and Chugs. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we haven't, as I think a community, as a culture, as being Cubans and Cuban Americans, the fact that we haven't had an opportunity to grow, haven't had the opportunity to progress and to be really who we are, has really shaped a lot of what I decided to, like, my personal mission to be. And meeting people like Rosa Maria and like several others like her in this process have nothing but solidified that goal for me. And to know that, I think one thing, I think it also happens a lot in our age group, feeling like you're alone in that process, feeling like that you're the only one that kind of feels, I guess, a sense of being lost, because you don't really know where you came from, why you're here, all those things. But in reality, there's other people living the same kind of life, and not only living that life, fighting to change what history has just kind of made it to be so, right? Because it's like 70 plus years without free election. After a while, people just forget that there was ever a free election and that things should be a certain way. And there's other people fighting that fight to make sure that this doesn't stay that way.
Right. So like you said, there are people who are fighting to make sure that it doesn't stay that way. And that's one of the kind of, it's not a paradox, but one of the contradictions, right? That we've been shaped by this reality that none of us want to see continue. So Cuba Decide is a wide initiative that includes Cubans on the island and around the world, along with international friends who together work tirelessly to achieve a peaceful change. They fight for a democratic Cuba and are closer than ever to achieving that goal. So what's the strategy? It's the peaceful mobilization of Cubans and the international community, putting pressure so that the people can live in a democratic system and be free. You can follow Cuba Decide. That's Cuba Decide. It means Cuba decides in Spanish. Cuba Decide in all social media platforms at Cuba Decide. It's Cuba, D-E-C-I-D-E, Cuba Decide, Cuba Decide. To learn more or join Cuba Decide and donate at cubadecide.org/donations. The funds raised go to train promoters, recharge cell phones, meaning to keep cell phones active and connected to the internet, produce promotional materials on the island, generate international support, and much more. So go to cubadecide.org/donations. If you put Pan Con Podcast in the memo field in the donations, that will signal to them that money should go to keeping phones in Cuba connected to the internet.
This episode of Pan Con Pasta is brought to you by Pig Ink Apparel. Pig Ink Apparel was started in 2012. 2012. Okay. That's an actual statement. It was started in 2012. I was sitting at a bar having a drink, and then I drew this like logo very poorly on a napkin, and I drew a name on a napkin. And the entire purpose of starting this apparel line was because when my family came here from Cuba, what sustained them financially was making clothes. Okay. So my grandmother, she's a G and like a super hustler, and she got on consignment like 1,000 yards of jean, and she made a deal with a friend. Her and my grandfather made a deal with a friend to like pay off the sewing machine, and then they put it in their house. And my aunt, uncle, and mother with my grandparents started sewing jeans, and then they started selling said jeans. And then from that company, my grandmother started a company with my father called H&D Fashions, and we did textiles forever, 25 plus years until sadly the company closed. We had 2 factories in the Dominican Republic and 1 here in Miami. And that's really what sustained my like childhood. I grew up in in clothing factories my entire life. You know, like it's a very interesting place to be in. It's like these weird, like gigantic shelves of just huge rolls of fabric, and then these gigantic tables of ladies cutting shirts and then going from one place to the next and then going all the way down this like conveyor belt to like the ones that would sew it, and then they would sew it and then they would print it and they would do the whole thing. And it's just like what I grew up with. So it was a small thing that in 2012, which I had no business doing because I had like zero money to actually make it like an actual thing. I was like, I just want to come up with some like cool designs that are lifestyle, food oriented, chef oriented, that aren't so chachi. And you see a lot of the chachi food stuff, like your radishes are wild. Like we don't do stuff like that. So, we're making like a hard comeback. Our my partners and I have decided to reinvigorate the brand and bring it back. Our logo lives on within our hospitality company and obviously through the merchandise line. And we just dropped our website within the last 3 weeks, and we have some great designs that some local guys helped me do. They're all, I think, super dope. And, it ranges everything from like work shirts. When I say work shirts, it's actually the shirts that my staff wears to work, to, cooler designs and nicer fabrics and nicer shirts that you can wear out and kind of like hang out in for the day. But, Pig Ink has always been like a passion project for me. It's always been something that's never been for money or whatever. It's more of just like the story, and I think it's cool and I think it's fun. And there's a way to help people within the process too. And I think that, what we're doing with DADE and what we've done with other people in the past, and probably what we'll continue to do in the future with donating to charities and overall, I think it's a cool thing.
Good shit. So whenpigsflymia.com, that's where you get all of that stuff. Do you have like a personal favorite item? If you could only have one.
I honestly...
You could only have one for yourself.
I mean, I think it's because I'm super biased because I love the original Ariete shirt. So the new shirt that we're dropping for, DADE is probably my favorite one that I wear the most. So I think that that's super dope. The Reservoir Pigs one is like very cool too. I'm a big fan of the hats, like the beanie I'm wearing right now. I like very simple designs. So I don't like it's never going to be a lot of things happening. It's usually pretty simple, but yeah, I would say those are my favorite things. The dad hats are my favorite. Like the khaki dad hat is is super dope.
Yeah. The jersey has been in a rap video.
Yeah, I mean the jersey is very cool. The Ariete jersey, the Chugs varsity jacket is also very dope. There's really not many of those, but they will be going to reprint soon. So, I mean it's really like, I feel terrible saying this, but it's like pretty much everything I wear every day. So I like them all.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. whenpigsflymia.com. That's it.
Go buy some shit.
Go give Mike all your money.
Yeah, all of it.
Very good.
Yep.
Hey, this is Nick popping in front of the camera for a moment to give you an explanation of what got cut here and why the rest of this podcast might feel like it lacks context. That's because it does. So at this point in the podcast, or at this point in the interview, Mike asked Robby a question that led to a loud, heated argument between Mike and me. Robby became sort of a spectator. I thought it was maybe 15 minutes because I'm weird. It was like a solid 40 to 45 minutes of me and Mike yelling at each other, and all that is cut out. Not because we don't want you to see us yelling at each other, but rather because the subject matter and some of the things that were said in this argument could have negative consequences to certain people's businesses. So I'm going to leave it that vague, trying to strike a balance here between being transparent about why this sounds so weird and what got cut out, because we're usually not in the habit of really cutting anything out of this podcast other than like bathroom breaks. But also, unfortunately, not getting into what it is that you're missing out on. So right here, what you'll hear is the point where we decided we've been at this for long enough. Let's do our wind down of the podcast, and Robby kind of like recovering from the spectacle that we had just put in front of him. So that's it. And there you go. More Pan Con Podcast weirdness. Yeah.
Bros, this is fucking fire, dude. I will say this, man. I will say this. Fucking great performances from the both of you, dude. I gotta bounce.
You think you can get us gigs on Heels?
Yeah, for sure. I get this motherfucker a gig on Heels. We can do some shit with you too. But
yeah, I can be an
a little
extra.
more intellectual. But
I'll
it's
be an
fucking,
extra. It's okay.
But it's no. It's dope. When he brought up the Cuban shit, I saw some of that wrestler shit from fucking Nick.
Good for you.
But I will say this, dude. I think you can edit this as much as you want.
Yeah,
but
we
this
probably
is
won't.
also no. This is fucking great, bro. And
Can we do a quick lightning round?
No, fuck no. I gotta go.
All right,
look,
cool. I get it.
But I will say this.
That's all good.
No. But it was cool to fucking listen to this shit. And I think that's why we're in this fucking country. We can get as passionate as we are about it and still fucking talk.
Yeah.
But I
This
love
was
you
great.
guys, dude. And this is fucking great. I swear to God, dude, that I'm not fucking.
No.
I'm like, fuck it. This was fucking
is hilarious.
amazing, dude. And I think.
Man,
I
what a
hope this shit
different
goes
episode
viral,
of Pan
dude.
Con Podcast, huh? This
Hell
shit,
yeah, bro.
God, I hope this shit goes
I hope
viral.
it goes viral, dude. That was some Kanye moment with fucking.
Foods, you can we'll endorse your mariquitas.
You ain't
over
got the
here.
answers, Nick. You ain't got the fucking answers. I loved it, dog.
I guess we'll wrap it up. Nick,
Yeah,
do your
hell yeah.
wrapping up things.
All right, real quick. We'll skip the recommendations. I'm sorry to all the people who expected these things, but Robby, tell people shameless plugs where they can find you and all your shit.
Oh yeah. Heels on Starz, right?
at Heels on Starz.
Yeah.
Stars with a Z.
No, Heels Starz on
Heels Starz.
Instagram.
Okay.
The Robby Ramos on Instagram, Twitter, the whole nine. And then dropping character with Robby
That's your
Ramos.
podcast. That's your podcast.
That's my fucking podcast. I love it, dog. I fucking love it. Yeah, that's my podcast. We can listen to that
That's cool.
shit.
I'm sure it's great. Mike, you got any shameless plugs? You want to tell the people where they can find you on Instagram?
So, just so everyone is aware, Chugs is open 7 days a week. That's really all I got.
That's great.
Nave has a new fall menu. That's all I really got.
This is the best part of the podcast. Patreon.com/DadeMag if you want to mug every 3 months. DadeMag.com/Pan Con Podcast. We're Pan Con Podcast on all the social media things. If you want to advertise with us, info@DadeMag.com. Thank you so much, Robby, for being a spectator
Hell yeah, this
in the
is
last
fucking
20
awesome,
minutes
dog.
or God knows how long of this thing. That's it.
Has
That's
it been
the podcast.
only 20
I
minutes?
don't
There's
fucking
no
know.
way
I'm
it's been 20
guesstimating.
minutes. It feels like a fucking lifetime.
God damn it.